about this. Woo!
Put Scooter on the phone, you bird brain.
What do you do, backflips? You jump up there in a silly suit? What do you do?
Bam! I want you to play that.
All right. Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. Fast Freddie here for another episode of Fast Freddie Rocks Youngstown. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks. I've been, with my new schedule at Y103 and with all our bike nights and other things this summer. We've only been down to like once a week. But once fall rolls around and we get all that stuff underway or get that stuff out of the way, we'll be back to 2 nights a week. But it's good to be here tonight. The thing we want to talk about today is coming up on Saturday. We have the big Battle of the Bands coming to Quaker Steak and Lube in downtown Sharon. And it's brought to you by Bud Lite, which is why I am drinking a Bud Light right now. We have plenty of Bud Light here. Got this at Gino's on the way over from the radio station. And I will give Gino's credit. They have a sign right there in the drive-thru. They are not accepting boob money because of the warm temperature. So that's always good. Yeah. Now, the boob money, I don't mind. It's like when they're sticking it in their shoe. Shoe money is the one. Sock money is a lot worse than boob money, I
agree.
But they do have a sign there. So that's good to know that the money I put back in my wallet and change wasn't stuffed in some giant fat woman's sweaty.
That's always good.
Sweaty breast. But
it's
anyways,
nice to know.
Let me tell you a little about what we got going on. It's to benefit the Spay and Neuter Clinic. I know I have the name here. I want to make sure I get the right name. I got all these papers here, but what the heck is the name of the? Okay, well, I will look that up. But it is for the Spay and Neuter Clinic and
Tales of Hope.
Hopefully,
was that it?
Oh, Tales of Hope.
Tales of Hope.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I wish I remembered.
Is that what it is? Tales of Hope?
I think it's Tales of Hope.
Okay. Tales of Hope sounds right. You would think that I would have it here because I want to make sure they do such great work and it's their benefit. So I'll have to double check that. But I think it is Tales of Hope. We'll go with Tales of Hope for now.
For now, it's placeholder. Yeah,
right. If you really want to know, we'll let you know a little later. And on top of that, just come on down on Saturday night and be a part of it. We have 6 bands that are going to take place. And what we're doing tonight is we're going to have all the different bands come in and we're going to introduce you to them and, give them a little bit of publicity here. And, they'll tell us a little bit about what style of music they play, who their influences are, and, how they got into music and all that stuff. So we'll get to that. But anyways, the Battle of the Bands is coming up this Saturday, Quaker Steak and Lube in downtown Sharon, home of the original. Now, it's $10 to get in, and your $10 ticket stub goes to the door prize for a Yeti prize pack worth $500. Now, if you have a Yeti cooler, if you have a Yeti cup, you know how good those are. So just the ticket alone is getting you in for a $500 door prize. So that's good. We got basket raffles and Chinese auction items. Right now, there's 130 baskets that we're going to raffle off. So that's a lot of great prizes. And my favorite, and I know I'm going to be buying some tickets, so I just want people to know that I am going to have tickets in this when I win. I don't want anybody crying that the drawings are fixed, none of that stuff, because I'm in for this one. They're going to be giving away the Wagon of Cheer, and they're calling it a wagon like tail wagon, WAGGIN. So they're giving away the Wagon of Cheer, and that's going to be over $800 worth of booze in the wagon. So I'm going for that. They have a lotto tree raffle for over $200 in tickets, a big 50-50 raffle. So we've got a lot of good stuff coming up, and it's all going out for a good cause. And we have some great music from some great bands. And with me right now is Lance and Ethan, and they're from the band The Head Trips. So guys, it's good to see you. Let's just start off with the basics. Where are you guys from? And let's just start from there.
It's great to see you too, Freddie. And like I said, finally putting a name to a face is awesome. Very cool.
Here we go.
Yeah. Been hearing you on the radio for a long time, Yeah, and it's really cool. But so we're both locals, from Youngstown. We've been living here all our lives. Well, for most of my life, I guess I've, lived in Kent for a bit, going to school there.
Okay.
But,
that's where I went to school. So.
Oh, word. Yeah. But most of my life. And all
look what happened to me. So what side of town you guys from? Where you from?
I'm from like Canfield area.
Okay.
So,
I'm from this little village called McDonald.
I know where McDonald is.
next
Come on, everybody. A little village
Yeah,
from
you're
This
McDonald.
tiny spot.
For all the folks out there listening all around the world that might not know where McDonald is.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, my mom, she lived in the senior house there for a long time in McDonald. So,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
and my sister lives in McDonald. Everybody knows McDonald. Come on, man.
Yeah, you're right.
So, tell us a little bit about the head trips, man. Tell us about the band.
Yeah. So let me see. Do you want me to like tell you like how we got started?
Yeah,
or, like, where do you
everything.
wanna,
Start from
yeah.
day one.
From day one? Okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah, so I played in
So I bought a guitar.
right.
And then I
All
started
started-
playing a note.
Started when I was born. No. But yeah, so I played in a band in high school and like very beginning of college. We went by a few different names, but main name, or what we were mainly known as, was City Limits. And right after that dissolved, like at the end of like 2017, I started jamming with my buddy Chris Vivo, and we were working on some song ideas from my previous band, but also some new stuff. And it was just Chris and I for a while, really locking down. He played drums, so it was like locking down the rhythm section, and Chris really helped us get that rhythm section tight, and helped me figure out like stylistically like where I wanted to go with like writing the songs, putting stuff together. We cycled through a few different guitarists, but like I said, for a long time it was just me and him. But then eventually I met Ethan through a mutual friend, and his vision and his ideas, some of the material he had before our band, like everything just really synced up well. And we jammed, me and Ethan and Chris, we jammed for like 5 or 6 months, and then we started recording, and then we had an album, and we were going to drop it like April or May of last year, but we ended up dropping it in October just because we got tired of with like COVID and not having music out, so we wanted something out. But
Right.
There's also, Ethan also has like his side of like when he got into the band and
Now
his
you
own
play
music,
guitar?
so I play bass guitar and I
okay.
sing.
You play
Yeah.
bass.
So
Okay.
like drum and bass, Chris
Okay.
and I. But yeah, but
I play guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So- Continue on.
I started out playing guitar when I was like 7. My parents bought me like this $20 cheap plastic little thing, and I wasn't really into it at first, but then like when I was around 12, I started just like jamming on some like Maroon 5 or Metallica or just those bands like that. And then over the years I tried finding other people to jam with, and no one ever really clicked. I cycled through a lot of people, a lot of different kinds of musicians, and then eventually I texted our one mutual friend. I was like, dude, like, do you know anybody who can who wants to join a band or make a band or something? Like, I'm at my wit's end. And he's like, yeah, I know this guy Lance. He's looking for a guitarist. And yeah, me and Lance and Chris met up, and our chemistry just clashed almost instantly. Like, yeah, obviously it took a bit to like get up to that point, but that's part of starting a band. But
Right.
Our chemistry and styles of what we wanted to go for really clashed together.
So how would you like define your music? We have some music, but the sound here, our one piece of equipment isn't working quite right, so we don't want to play it. It's not going to sound right because that's not going to help you guys out. But tell us a little bit about your sound.
Yeah, so it's a mix of like a few different things. We got a few sounds going on. My background is more of like I started off playing like punk rock alternative, so like I bring more of like a punk angle to the table, but also like just with how we figured it was like it's punk mix with like some grunge and psychedelic rock, a little bit of funk, like it kind of jumps around a bit,
Right.
But yeah, and he brought some of that influence too,
Yeah, so a modern type sound, a modern mix of different influences along those lines then.
Yeah, and also too though, like we do, really have a lot of respect for like, older bands, and like for us, our influences for this project, come, from like the 90s mainly, and then also too like, some older bands like 60s and 70s type, like jam rock and acid rock and
right,
psychedelic, that type of thing,
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So who are some of your personal favorites? I mean,
In general, or like
in general, or influence. Well, let's start here. Who influenced you to start playing music? What was it that made you pick up the bass and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm ready to do this"? Or this seems like something fun. What really got you started?
Yeah. So I guess I should have said earlier, that my thing was the bass, and I play some other. We both play other instruments too. That's my go-to. And he said when he started, and for me it was like I was actually like younger and like got interested into the bass just because like my parents and older brother and like I had other people in my life, you know, showing me different music. So it just, you know, I loved it, and I have since then. And yeah, then I picked up the bass. I took a few lessons when I was younger. I might have been like eight or nine, something like that. But then I really got into it at the end of freshman year in high school. So I was like 14, 15. And I mean, even with like when I started playing, I think I was like really getting into like, you know, like punk rock and like, especially with like 90s music, you know, like those punk revival bands like Green Day, The Offspring, you know, but then also too like classic punk, Ramones and the Clash. I love Pearl Jam too, you know, Nirvana, you know, a lot of like 90s and some older stuff too, you know. Yeah. And then I mean, since then, just, you know, it's been really cool because like, you know, music is like your relationship with it and how you experience it is different when you play, you know. And so it's just been really cool, like, you know, all this stuff I listen to, it's like after playing, I don't know, it just like you hear it different, you know.
Yeah, so, so what was the first song you learned how to play?
Oh my God. I don't know.
Mine was like Ode to Joy or something like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, there were a few early ones. Like I remember I was playing like a lot of, like I said, Green Day and Offspring. There was some Foo Fighters in there, like My Hero. I don't remember like a specific.
There wasn't one
specific
that you
song.
said, "Oh, okay,
No.
I got it now."
I mean, I remember like when I was like real young, like when I first started getting into it, and we were just playing this. I remember like acoustic, but like I remember like playing like Barracuda, heart like a little dun, 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 yeah, just on the bass, yeah, well, because I remember too like in Guitar Hero that song was in there, Guitar Hero 3, so yeah.
So then, when was the first place you played in public? When was the first time you actually played in front of an audience?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, with like a rock band was it was at actually it was supposed to be like a battle of the bands out in Salem. But we were the only band that like showed up.
So you win. Hey,
we won by default. Yeah.
Here's something that happens in things like that. You don't have to tell anybody how many bands were in.
Right.
If you won, you won. It goes the same thing with car shows, motorcycle shows, whatever. You got the trophy. You don't have to say anything else other than you're the champ. You don't have to get into any details. If nobody asks, they don't need to know.
Right. Just let them know that we got the victory. Yeah. But yeah, that was our first one. And yeah, that was out in Salem, and we won a free guitar because nobody else showed up, and we wanted to play some tunes. But I mean, I also did like, I mean, I would do like plays and stuff when I was younger. So like, just like being on stage is like also really fun for me too. I love just like just the energy of that, and like the experience is just, it's like unmatched, you know?
So once you got that bug, so you kind of had like the performance bug then before you started playing music by being on stage and in various, you know, productions and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So what were you in? What were some of your, what are some of your acting credits?
Yeah, it was like, you know, like I don't even know if I told you this much about it before. Yeah, I used to do like plays when I was younger, and it was like musicals. So like, yeah, I did like I was like the Music Man and like Beauty and the Beast, like stuff like that. Yeah, like some musicals.
Sing a little line from Music Man.
Oh,
because
I don't know.
You know what? My dad was one of the biggest musical. We used to listen to musicals with my dad when we were growing up, and I mean, he was like, you know, hard drinking carpenter.
Sing along to the musicals.
Man, he loved the musicals.
Yeah.
You know? Go ahead, sing a little line. Come on, give us something from the Music Man.
What was it, 176 trombones lead the big parade or whatever? Yeah. So I was actually Mayor Shin in that, and I didn't really have like a lead vocal thing, but yeah, no, but it was fun. Like I said, the stage presence, you know, like just doing that whole, you know, that whole thing, performing like that. It's,
So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So do you see any more of that in your future, or are you just pretty much focusing on music?
You know, I think that would be cool, like to get into again one day, you know, because I don't know yet. It is a different it's a different vibe for sure, you know. And I mean, I don't know, like we were just talking about we were like on this trip out of town, and so like we've been together for like the last week just talking about all kinds of stuff. But yeah, we were talking about Labyrinth, you know, and David Bowie obviously was like, you know, starring in that, and you know, the Goblin King, and like just acting, you know, taking a step aside from like music, you know. So I don't know, yeah, I could totally see myself.
I am too. Yeah. I always wanted to be in a play, you know. I still might one of these days.
You could do it.
Audition.
You could totally do it.
I think I could get out there and do it. I don't think it would be that difficult.
Yeah.
You know. But so where'd you guys go on a trip? What were you up to, man?
We actually went out to visit my brother in Omaha, Nebraska. He's been working out there. Yeah, I know. It's like not a lot of people know, but it's a hidden gem. Like
Really?
No, that's really happening in the
is.
city.
No kidding.
It's happening. Yeah, it is awesome there. for
Because
sure.
I always wonder, what do you do if you live in Nebraska?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of corn surrounding it, and driving through Iowa,
Right.
corn and windmills. Yeah, but
Uh-huh.
the city of Nebraska is so cool. And then we just went to Wisconsin, like to do some camping because
Yeah.
we were gonna have a longer trip, go further out west, but had to condense it for a few reasons, and one of them being to get ready for this, this gig,
Right.
Battle of the Bands. Yeah, and we went camping at Governor Dodge State Park in
Oh, that's
Wisconsin.
cool.
Beautiful, like
Oh, awesome.
Oh, that's
incredible.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I highly recommend just taking a trip in Wisconsin. Like, so scenic.
But I'm surprised about Nebraska.
No,
Yeah.
I was surprised too. I was like, "What is it?" It was like, "What's
People
your
usually
brother
are.
doing out in Nebraska? He's just like picking at the cornfields." I was really surprised too.
Yeah, but no, it was a great time. Like, it's just very eventful all the way through. The whole trip, and yeah, a lot of fun.
Good. That's good. So let's go with you, Ethan. Let's run down the same bunch of questions here. When did you get started, and what was the first song you learned, and things along that nature.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, I started like when I was like 7 years old. I took lessons. I wasn't too into it, but right around the age of 12, I started to pick it up again. I started learning like radio, like the stuff on the radio, like I spent like an entire year trying to learn "Sweet Child O' Mine," like the whole lead slash solo and stuff.
Did you finally get it done?
Yeah, it took a while, but
Yeah.
I finally got it down. That was like
That's a tough one to start with, right there. you know?
I was like, I have to do
Yeah,
this.
let's just start with one of the greatest guitar songs of all time.
Yeah,
But you know what? If you're
shoot for
going for it,
stars.
you might as well go for broke. you know?
Yeah, but
Get the hardest one out of the way first.
Yeah,
and the other ones seem a lot easier.
just go easier from there.
Right.
Yeah, no, but I started with like the big radio hits you would hear on the radio. I started learning all of those and playing with guitar backing tracks, and then I started branching out and bought a bass and bought a drum set and keyboards and all that, and just really grew from there. And now it's now I'd say mainly like with the influences, like especially with the head trips, I feel like channel a lot of like Primus, like some weird stuff, like just like bass and guitar, like one guitar and one bass, like Primus, and
You bring that Pink Floyd vibe to the table too.
oh yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Pink Floyd's one of my favorite bands. They're
We
like,
both love 'em,
obviously
yeah.
a lighter. They're not like heavy
Right.
rock at all, but I still kind of channel that psychedelic, like
The older stuff. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, like I love Alice in Chains, love Nirvana, but so that later, like it's 15, 16, that's when I started getting that heavy 90s grunge influence, and yeah, it just kind of kicked off from there. And it kind of fell into place because I was kind of looking for a band to do that kind of heavy like Primacy weird sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And came across these guys. It's like, that's cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like you're into punk more, but I feel like the style of punk you go for is more. It's more like what we want to go for, like
Yeah, and
more like what I dig, like because I also like Green Day and
Yeah.
like Black Flag and all those
Oh,
punk
yeah.
Right.
bands too.
Yeah, I also love that. Like the Pink Floyds of the world and like the psychedelic and
Yeah, I feel
the grungy
Our
stuff.
styles are a little different, but they clash together so well,
Yeah, for sure.
So, how about you? What was the first place you played? When was the first gig, or the first time anywhere you like sang in public, or you played guitar in public in front of some people?
Well, there was like a few recitals when you were like real little. They had those recitals.
Uh-huh.
Your parents would come and I'd do like "Oh the Joy" or some basic song like that.
Yeah.
But the first like kind of gig I had, it was at I think Borman Library.
Uh-huh.
It was like at 10 in the morning. I don't know why I had a gig at 10 in the morning, but I was in like a 3-piece. It was like me, this other guitarist, and drummer, and we played some like Alice in Chains and like Ramones.
Was that with Reese?
Yeah, Reese and Pat.
Reese was the guy who introduced us to, by the way. I meant to mention that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we played like Ramones and Alice in Chains. I mean, we didn't sound that good. We were 14 and
Yeah.
we didn't know anything about anything. But yeah, that was the first gig I played, and it was a while. I think like after I met these guys, it was a while before I started actually getting back out there again, because I was cycled through so many other musicians and nothing would really click. So it was like you know, you can get out there with no.
That's the hardest thing, is to find some guys, especially if you're doing original music and you got to get everybody on the same page, and sometimes that's a little difficult to do, especially if you have some people that either have a big ego or a strong will, or they want to be bossy, and you know, I mean, you really got to get that vibe going, and sometimes that's the hardest thing, is to find the right people that you click with, that you gel with, that you could go on a camping trip with, and not kill each other and things like that.
Right. That's one thing I gotta, you know, I'm like happy about, is me and Lance are such good friends. We become really close in the past 2 years. So like, on top of us having this great musical chemistry, we also get along super well. So like, you know, there's no like beef or tension. So I feel like if there's no tension, it's all good. Personally, you kind of like channel that and like, you know, show it to the audience. Like if you're on stage or something, it's like that kind of unspoken energy.
And that was really like also too what happened with not just me and Ethan, but also what we had with Chris, and for the time that he was in the band. But we actually recently got another drummer, Austin Hostetter, who played, it still plays actually, in Smoky Honey Blues Band. And he's, I mean, it's the same thing. Like he brings like just like good energy, you know what I mean? And it shows up, you know, I mean, like in how our chemistry links up with the music. And he's filled in for us before. So like we've played a show, and you know, I mean, the energy he brought there, and just like as a person, like it's nice to have those people around.
Yeah, I think you find the same thing in bands, on sports teams, even places that you work. I mean, if you got the right people and everybody clicks and it's just laid back, then you're like, you get out there and you make things happen. But then, I mean, even I'm sure some people have had jobs where like maybe the boss is micromanaging you or breathing down your back. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're thinking about, oh, am I going to screw up? Or, oh man, maybe we better not try this because this guy's going to be on my case, or things like that. Or, well, you know what, I'd like to really play this lick this way, but I don't think these guys like it, you know, so I'm going to hold off. Especially, I think, with the creative process, you need that free flow to just make things happen like that. And if you have to second guess, or you're thinking, oh, okay, shit, I know he doesn't like this, but I think that would be the, you know, that could be a hassle. Then it's no fun, and the chemistry's not there, and that doesn't sound right anyways.
No, for sure. And I mean, there's always going to be that give and take, you know, when you're working with other people in whatever type of setting. But I mean, it really helps when, you know, the other people in the mix are receptive, you know what I mean, and like open-minded, and you know, like the focus is more about, instead of just being negative and, you know what I mean, saying like, I don't like that, it's more about, you know, constructive criticism and you know, being willing to negotiate, you know, that give and take. And I mean, also too, you know, like you said, like getting the creative energy going, like it can bring out more of that in each person, you know, not just as a group, but like individually, which is always cool to see.
Once you get that synergy going, and then everybody gets on the same page, and then things start flowing, and man, you know, when he does this, he does that, or you got a line and he's got something to follow it up with it and stuff. And you know, that's one thing I really enjoy, is the creative process. And once it's really working and it's going, and you get something done, and you listen to that song and you go, wow, that's really good, or man, that's exactly how we liked it, you know, or you listen to it a few times, you go, you know what, man, maybe we need some more drums in here, you know, well, let me try that guitar solo a different way. And then when it comes out just right, that everybody likes it, you're just like, I mean, that's a great feeling when you're able to do that, you know.
Definitely.
And I'm always a big fan too of, you know, when I listen to like, you know, like maybe the Beatles and some of these other bands, where you'll hear like the rough takes and the first take and the second take. And it's amazing on even how it goes from the demo to the finished song. And you sit there and you listen and go, wow, how did that go from here to there? You know, or all of a sudden, you know, you hear the sax solo come in, or all of a sudden they change the tempo around a little bit, or they take the drums down and this and that. And then when the final thing comes out, you're like, wow, you know, it's really amazing on how that ended up like that from where it started. You know?
That process, it is cool to see. That's I mean, something too that you know, Ethan did before the Head Trips was, you know, and he still has it going, but like his own side project, Franklin Dead Rose. And you know, when he, you know, came to us, he had like, you know, some demos of his songs, and he showed us like, hey, we could do this for the Head Trips, you know. And some of them, you know, we're gonna be featuring a few this weekend, and 2 of them are, they made it on the album. And yeah, it's just cool though to see, like, cause we had those early cuts and then we got together, like it was really fun, like bringing, my own, like just bass playing to the table, obviously, like, kind of sticking to the ideas, but like, yeah. And then with Chris too, like it was drums, and yeah, they ended up, a few cuts on the album. So
oh, that's very cool.
Yeah,
that is very cool.
Yeah.
So what are some of the hardships for young guys like you nowadays trying to start a band and trying to play original music and finding places to play and things like that, and especially with the COVID, what would have been some of the hardships and things that you guys have had to overcome and or are still dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with COVID, like, still kind of, everyone's working through it, you know what I mean? And yeah, and that goes into like playing shows, having people come out, that type of thing. What do you think? What do you think about some other stuff?
Oh yeah, I think it was kind of questionable for the longest time with COVID, but I think also that one of the hardest things, like one of the hardest things for like me personally, like trying to set up shows is trying to find other bands, especially now, because a lot of bands, like, they broke up or they just gave up on doing stuff after COVID. So right now it's kind of hard to like find other bands to get together with and like make shows, because like a lot of times you can get a date for a show, but then you got to get the bands to open with you, right? And that's a lot of times that can be hard, because if you don't have like a full lineup, you don't really have a show. So that's really the hardest thing, is finding other people. But the people we do find are great. Like a lot of bands we meet are, they're great people and great to jam with.
Yeah. So that is very cool. So where can people find your music, and where can they find you? You guys got a website, I would imagine, Facebook and the whole 9 yards. Where could they find more about Head Trips at?
Oh yeah, we actually recorded this album in our old drummer Chris's basement. We recorded the whole in the basement of 3 months, and we dropped it last October. It's on all the streaming platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora. Yeah. It's on YouTube. You just look up the Head Trips, and you find this album cover that our lovely friend Emily drew for us.
There you go. Very nice. Give a shout out to Emily.
Yeah, Emily. She did a really awesome job on that. Yeah. Really got to give her appreciate for that. But yeah, we can.
Yeah, we got a lot of interesting mushrooms and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to go for all those little trippy objects floating around in space.
UFO.
Yeah, some snails.
Mushroom. Couple of snails in there.
So the snails, it's funny. Austin, we were jamming, like I said, he filled in for us one show, and we were jamming at his grandparents' place the one time. They had these like big, like, I think they were just like plastic, but like these plastic snails. And so I was like, we like need to bring these at a show one day. We might even have them. We might have them there Saturday. You might see some snails. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, and so we got tossed those on the album, and his friend Emily made the artwork, and Ethan actually produced this thing. He produced the record.
Yeah,
give yourself some credit.
No, I kind of forgot. I spent months trying, like, mixing this thing and trying to make, because I'm actually going to school for music production engineering. So
that's awesome.
This is kind of, and this is like the first full length album I tried doing in a vanilla studio setting, and it was really interesting. I really like it. Kind of learned a lot in the process of both recording and producing with this album, but so I still think it came out really good with given the circumstances and like the space we had. And
producing, and you did some keys too, and effects. Did good stuff. And
popped little effects in there, but
and so we only released it digitally for the time being. Last year, like I said, just because we wanted to get something out, what I mean, so people could hear it. And just like have it for ourselves, you know what I mean? But because you're just like, we just want something out there, But we're hoping to get a physical release soon, and and get the merch up and rolling, because that was another thing too. COVID cut that stuff short, but things are opening up now, and we're starting to book more shows too, like beyond the Battle of the Bands, and so we're hoping to get that merch table up and running, and then get some CDs, some physical copies of this record out for people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, thanks for stopping by. I can't wait to see you guys on Saturday. We are going to have a good time,
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? And I'm glad you guys are getting into the Battle of the Bands. Some people don't like it because, what if we don't win or things like that.
No,
but you know what? First of all, I think you're going to get a nice chance to play in front of a nice crowd. Yeah. Like we have already over 300 tickets sold. So it's going to be a good time. Mm-hmm. And I just want to thank you guys for stopping by. We have Lance and we have Ethan Ethan. The band is called Head Trips, and you can look them up online, find all their music. They told you where you can. And come on out and see them live. Come on down and support this show, because we're going to have some of these new upcoming bands that you may have never seen before, and this is going to give you a chance to see them. It's actually, you can call it a battle of the bands, but this is also going to be a showcase for some really nice original talent and some young guys. So come on out and show some support. It's all going to happen this Saturday, Quaker Steak and Lube in downtown Sharon. It's a benefit for Tales of Hope, Spay and Neuter Clinic. And on top of that, we are going to be raffling off an $800 wagon full of booze. So,
big prizes.
Big prizes.
Yep.
Well, listen, guys,
Big
I want
prize.
to thank you for stopping by.
Thank you so
And
much.
good luck on Saturday. And we'll check out your music and check these guys out online. All right, man. Good luck. Good luck on Saturday. Boy, I got to pull my pants up. There we are.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. All right, man. That is Lance and Ethan from Head Trips. Lance and Ethan from Head Trips, and they will be a part of the Battle of the Bands coming up this Saturday at Quaker Steak and Lube in downtown Sharon. Come on in, guys. Grab a seat. These guys are already ready, man. They already got their Miller Lights here. Miller Lite. Oh, man. The sponsors are going to love me for this. Dilly. They don't say dilly anymore, do they? Or are they still?
I haven't.
No. Okay. So it's, we're kind of done with the dilly now.
I think so.
I think that kind of.
I hope so.
But Bud and Bud Light, they'll come up with something else, though. You know that they're about to. When you think about everything from the Budweiser Frogs and Spuds McKenzie and what up, and all that, they have a way of coming up with some really good slogans. Yeah, so we'll do a little throwback Thursday, dilly. All right, and you guys are.
We are Plinko.
All right, and your name is?
Trevor.
Okay, yeah, I talked to you, Trevor. Okay.
Yep.
I'm Shane.
And Shane?
Yep.
Good to see you guys.
Yep.
So why don't we'll start from the beginning like we did with these other guys and just talk a little bit about, the history of the band, your musical history, how you got into it, what kind of music you play, your influences, the whole 9 yards. So if you guys just even want to start a little bit with the history of the band and the kind of music you play, and then we'll take it from there.
Shane and I both are Badger High School graduates, so we started playing music when we were in high school. We weren't in the same band, but we knew of each other. We jammed a few times at parties, and then events just led us back to each other about 10, 15 years later. We started taking it more seriously, and now we're playing Cleveland and
Akron a little bit.
Yeah, some Akron shows and getting out a little bit. And
it's just old friends getting back together to make new music.
Yeah, started out just jamming again in the basement, and then people were like, hey, you guys should start playing out. And then everybody wanted us to start playing out more and more.
We make a different type of music than we did back then. So it's like.
Well, what kind of music you guys doing now? How would you describe your style or the influences into this music?
It's like a primacy kind of sound, a heavier funk. Kind of proggy, is not real simple. Most of our songs are anywhere from 6 to 15 minutes long. So I think we got 3 songs planned for our first set. I think 2 songs for the second set if we make it to the finals.
Oh, there we go.
It's definitely a different style of music. But it's enjoyable. You can dance to some of it, or you can just bang your head to something.
Yeah, okay. As long as me, that's all I got to do. I'm not going to get up and dance. So I'll just. Well, it all depends on if I win that $800 wagon
You'll
of
be
booze.
dancing.
And if I win the $800 bushel of booze, man, we're well, they're calling it a wagon, like tail wagon, WAGGIN wagon, but that would be sweet to win. $800 full of booze. Wagon, wheel that thing out. Well, just think if you guys won the contest and you won the wagon full of booze, man. I mean, that would be like the perfect night.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be awesome.
Shane the wagon.
I'll take the wagon.
Shane takes the wagon.
There we go. So tell me a little bit about how you first got into music. What's your whole story about your, what got you into it? Who are some of your influences? We go through the whole 9 yards.
My dad listened to a lot of Rush when I was growing up, so I immediately got influenced by Geddy Lee's playing and Neil Peart, and just back to the whole progressive aspect, just being more creative with music. And I don't really know where to go with that. But,
well, you just kept playing.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
I take it you're the bass player?
Yeah, I play the bass.
Okay.
I play guitar.
And okay.
And our drummer's missing.
Okay.
He's at work tonight, so he couldn't
we'll
make
drink
it.
one for him. What's your drummer's name?
His name's Drew.
Drew, shout out, man. Here you go. Cheers,
We
Drew.
miss you, little buddy.
So then, so who were some of the, you obviously got Rush. So how did you get into music? When did you get your first bass? And, when did you start playing? And
Oh, shoot. Well, I actually started off playing drums. And whenever I moved to Badger in 9th grade, they already had a drum set player. And he was really good, so I wasn't about to overstep his.
That was my first. That was my first.
Yeah, your first drummer. So yeah, I wasn't about to take over the drum set over him. So they had a bass sitting there that nobody was playing. So I went up on the stage with it turned down instead of just standing there while everybody's playing for like pep rallies. I started acting like I was playing the bass, and a few of the guys out in the crowd that were in a band needed a bass player, and they're like, "Oh, that guy knows how to play bass."
Oh, yeah.
And I really didn't.
Yeah.
So they had me come over, and they ended up showing me like how to read music tablature and showed me how to play "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana, which the whole song is 4 notes over and over again.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much where I started playing bass. And then once I learned how to read tablature, I started pulling up Rush tabs and trying to figure out how to play more complicated passages. And
Boy, so you went from the 4-note bass song into Rush.
yeah, I tried. I set the standards pretty high for myself.
Right.
But yeah, it's proven to be pretty successful.
Weren't you trying to learn Dream Theater?
Yeah, like the real progressive and Yes, like Chris Squire from Yes.
Yeah.
Like crazy bass lines that I was not really prepared to be taken on. But
Well, that's like Ethan was saying from the last band that one of the first things he learned was Sweet Child O' Mine and all the guitar parts on Sweet Child O' Mine. So I said, well, yeah, you started up pretty high and then you went backwards, and, worked your way down a little bit. Yeah. So Teen Spirit was your first song.
Yeah.
Now, when was so obviously you were with the band and as you were on stage and stuff like that, but when was like your first like gig or the first time you really like played in public as part of what
it was actually a birthday party. They saw that we were playing, so like, oh, let's have these guys play this little birthday party. It was terrible. It was so bad.
I remember the first time I played in front of people. It was in 6th grade. I played Wipeout on my dad's guitar.
Uh-huh.
Oh, nice.
It was too big for me. I just remember that.
Now your dad's a musician, I take it then?
He was, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, did he play in any bands around here? Or
Not
just
really.
Dabbled around the house?
He dabbled around the house and
jam with some friends. Things like
I had
that.
a band with him too. Him and my mom. We played in a band just as a family activity.
Uh-huh.
And we were called Strobe.
Uh-huh.
And that was fun. But that was when I was like 25 or something.
Yeah. What kind of music were you guys playing there?
Mostly like blues.
Oh, yeah?
Mostly blues, yep.
You, your dad and your mom were in a blues band together.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It was cool.
It was very fun.
Uh-huh.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So how about you? What was the first song that you learned?
First song that I actually learned, like the first song I remember playing was something I wrote, but then the first song I ever learned was Crazy Train.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it's the reason I quit guitar lessons, because I learned that on my own. I was like, I should take some lessons. And my parents signed me up, and that I ended up teaching the guy how to play Crazy Train and a bunch of other songs. And I was like, no,
yeah,
you should be paying me.
right. So you took a few lessons and you're pretty much self-taught. And
yeah.
Well, there's another one. Okay. You jump right in there and you're playing Randy Rhoads right off the bat. So, see, that's one thing about people with musical talent that I admire, that, that you could pick up a guitar, you could pick up a bass and you could just hear that and pick those notes up and just sit there and play them. Mm-hmm. I get so jealous about that. That's why I'm a DJ. At least I'm in kind of like the music business a little bit, but it was my love of music that got me into this. But I mean, boy, if I could play an instrument, that would be, it would be amazing. But it seems like no matter what age, like older guys, younger guys and stuff, you still have to have that knack to pick that stuff up.
Mm-hmm. And if you have the drive to do it, I mean, you can learn anything on the internet nowadays.
Yeah.
Like quick.
It's a lot easier now to pick something up.
Oh yeah, you think about some of these guys that are my age or even older, how they had to learn songs, and and especially when this stuff was coming out, this stuff was brand new, and people were making it up as they were going along. Whether it was Jefferson Airplane or Jimi Hendrix or any of these people, they're making this stuff up as they're going along, and it's like people would go to concerts with binoculars to try to see what
yeah.
they're doing, or
Yeah.
sitting there with a record and a needle and just playing and moving it back and trying to learn it. And,
A lot of the way I learned how to get better at guitar was watching at home on TV. Like PBS used to play a lot of concerts and stuff. And I would watch that, and I was just watching the guitar player the whole time, watching what his fingers are doing, and that's how I learned a lot of how to play.
Just paying attention and learning it that way.
Yep.
Yeah,
And by the
same.
sound, and obviously learning by sound. I mean, if it sounds wrong, it's
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way I could describe that.
Yeah. Now, when you were first learning, did you just, when you were really starting to get into the groove, did you just like kind of disappear from your friends, and were you locked away and just sitting there?
Pretty
Like,
much.
and once it start coming to you and you're learning more, so were you just kind of like, they're all wondering, man, where the heck, where's he been? I haven't seen him in ages. And
And then they see me on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how that happened.
Yeah.
Even like him, he came to one of my other band's shows to get me to play guitar for him. That was
That's how it started.
It was pretty fun.
Now, what were some of the other bands you were in?
I was in a band called the Youngstonians.
Oh, okay. I remember you guys. Yeah. All right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we Viking Jim played us on your radio station.
Right. Vike might stop down.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Vike
great.
might stop down.
That's wild.
Yeah. He was talking about stopping down. I told him it was free beer, but with him, you got to have like a free bottle of Wild Turkey or something down here too for Vike. The Bud Light is good, but you need a little something extra for Vike, and maybe not even booze, but a little something
A
extra,
little higher
something.
octane.
Yeah.
There you go.
we need something for Vike, but okay. I remember you guys. I remember that band. Now, where were some of the places you guys played? Were you like the Cedars and stuff like that?
Yeah, we played at Cedars. We played. Wow, where else did we play? Oh, Barley's. It used to be called Barley's. Now it's called something else. Right here on Federal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know where you mean.
It's not Susie's. It's like next to Susie's. I think.
The German.
No, I think it's a club.
Yeah.
Now it's like a nightclub.
Okay.
Yeah. Cedars was a fun place, man.
Yeah.
What are some of your memories of the Cedars besides playing there? Who some of the bands you used to like to see there? Or did you get a chance to go down there often?
I didn't go often. I live in Gustavus.
Oh, that's a little bit of a ride.
Yeah.
We're both from the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Always had a long drive, so I would just show up to play and then go home.
Right.
And I don't remember much. I remember like was it the Kellys?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Kellys.
I
Yeah.
remember playing with them.
Right.
And then at the Golf Dome, I remember playing with them, and like
Tropodelic always put on a good show at Cedars.
what was the other? We played. Oh, Alias X was another good band from back
Yeah.
then.
Right. Alias X.
Yeah. And I got to. I think we played with Mushroom Head one time up in Geneva on the lake.
Probably at the Cove.
At the
They used
Cove.
to
Yeah,
they used to
yeah.
play at
They're
the
a
Cove
lot.
all the time. Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you what, that place has an interesting history, the Cove.
Yeah.
The guy that started it was from Newcastle, and he went out to California, and he became friends with Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra, and he learned all about the entertainment business. And then he came back to Geneva and started that.
Oh,
But
no
Jimi
way.
Hendrix played at the Cove. Joe Walsh played at the Cove.
Wow, I had no idea.
Of course, the world famous Mushroom Head and the Youngstonians. They don't have a picture of you guys painted on the side of the building,
No.
which I think is a travesty personally. But
That's all good.
who else played there? Yeah, of course, Joe Walsh, and I just love the history of Geneva on the Lake too.
Yeah,
I mean,
beautiful.
I've been going
Yeah.
there since I was a little kid, and it's always been one of my favorite spots, and I still love going there just as much as I did.
I want to go ziplining up there. They have a zip line thing.
Yeah.
I want to go try that out.
Yeah,
we
new.
should do a band day and go
Yes, do it.
ziplining.
I'll go.
Yeah.
You're not afraid of heights, are you?
Nah,
All right.
Okay.
not that high.
Yeah, I want to give zip lining a try. I've never given it a try, but
Me
when I
neither.
ride by there, I see everybody having fun.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
thinking, I wouldn't mind giving that a shot.
It looks like so much fun.
Yeah. Now they got one of those things too, where like I think it's like a climbing thing through trees and that kind of stuff.
Like rope ladders and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
rope bridges.
Yeah,
Like an obstacle course.
yeah.
Kind of, but it's just like hiking through the
Yeah.
treetops.
Okay.
That might be a little too much for me. I just want to hang on and just
Yeah,
go down
me
the
too.
thing.
Yeah,
it's
still
bad
once.
enough I got to walk all the way up the steps there to get onto the zip line.
Oh yeah.
That would be my thing. Give me an elevator and get me up there, and then push
Well,
me
hey,
down.
if you win the wagon of beer,
I ain't beer, booze, man.
booze.
Hard stuff. We're talking
Oh, okay.
hard stuff here. Oh
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
Oh yeah.
sign me up.
Right.
Oh yeah, everybody's going to want to win that. Everybody's going to want to win that. So then, well, let's talk a little bit more about your musical careers and your influences and stuff. So, what was the first concert you went to?
It was actually a Rush concert. My dad took me.
Oh, okay.
That was back in, I'd say, 2002, 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was your first concert?
First small concert, I saw the Hearn Brothers band.
Okay.
And the guy gave me his guitar pick.
Oh, there you go. And they're still out there. The Hearn Brothers are still out there.
They're still playing.
They're still going.
And then my first big concert was Primus at Tower City. Oh man, it was insane. And I met the guitar player's wife, and her name is Shane, and my name is Shane, and it was a weird thing.
Yeah.
But it was cool. First real concert was Primus.
Right.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, tell me a little bit more about the sound of your band.
What do you think? It's heavy. It's funky. Jammy. Oh, it's psychedelic.
There's a good amount of improvisation that goes on too. We have certain parts that are just dedicated to improvising on the spot. So we have basically a different show for the people every single time.
Yep.
So it doesn't get stale because we all have lives, so we can only get together so much to write new material.
Right.
So if we have passages that are all improvised, then it could keep our music fresh. So they're not hearing the same thing every time.
It's like I was talking with those other guys. What are some of the challenges that you guys have, especially, during COVID, now that that's over, but I mean, especially, if you're a band that's, not playing covers and it's playing original music, what are some of the hardships or stuff that you guys have come across along the way? Or did you, or are there none? I mean, do you guys have set places? Are there, are there still places like the Cedars and stuff that, for original music? And where are some of these places at around?
I mean, it's all,
so
everything's opening back up. Last year, everything was closed. So we put everything on the back burner.
But we play a lot at Beachland Ballroom and Tavern. And they really are supportive of more local and not cover bands.
Right.
They want the original music coming through there. So we play there.
Yeah, we actually played there in the middle of COVID last July. It
Was
was.
July?
They had a socially distanced event, and we played that.
I'd say the hardest thing for our band is just availability of each member. We all have jobs. He has a family.
Yeah.
I got 2 kids.
Yeah.
So where do you work? What do you do?
I work at Stericycle. I burn medical waste.
Oh, okay.
So
All right, right down on Warren Avenue.
Yeah, right down on Pine.
Okay.
Yeah, real glamorous job.
Okay.
Yeah, as you can imagine, it's a lot of nasty stuff, but
they got that stuff pretty well packed up, don't they?
Yeah, it's packaged pretty good. We don't see too much nasty stuff. It's all boxed up,
so like you don't see a leg sticking out, or somebody's ear.
I'm not allowed to say anything for work reasons.
Okay,
but
all right.
But yeah, we see some wild stuff comes through there that falls out of bags on occasion. I've seen some gnarly things.
Yeah, well, we don't want to get you in any kind of trouble with that. And what about you, Shane? What do you do?
Oh, I work at Padroni's Pizza in Kinsman.
There you go.
I had to leave work to come here.
Oh, okay. We don't want to keep you too long.
No, he's off for the night.
You're done already.
Yeah, okay. I call him like, hey, we got this podcast
that got to be a little
tonight.
bit of a pain, man. You guys are in a rock band, and you're all the way out in Kinsman and Gustavus.
It's worth it.
Now, you guys both grew up out in that area?
Yeah, I grew up in Vernon, which is between Hartford and Kinsman.
I grew up in Gustavus, and I moved away for a little bit, and then I moved back after my father passed away. That's the story. But now I live back in Gustavus, and I work at Kinsman Padroni's Pizza. Shout out Padroni's.
There you go.
I love them.
They do have the best pizza I've ever had.
Wait a minute. I bring the beer. You didn't even bring a pie. All right. I'm sorry. Yeah. The interview's over.
My manager.
That's it. The interview's over.
My manager straight up said, "Why don't you take a pizza?" And I was like, "I gotta go. I don't have time for this to cook." He's like, "No, dude, just wait. Take a pizza."
Oh, no free pizza, man. I mean, that's what us DJs live for.
We'll bring one Saturday.
I'll bring it Saturday.
Bring one of those stuffed crusts.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So, growing up in the Kinsman area and stuff, I mean, what was that all about?
Not a whole lot to do except playing a band. That's pretty much
drink beer,
playing a band. Go cow tipping.
It's also good for musicians, I think, because there's not much to do. So you got to fill your time with something you enjoy, and playing music, or I enjoy like yard work and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, don't laugh.
Well, look at Paul McCartney, man. I mean, he moved to Scotland and lived out in the country, and really got into it and lived on a farm. And
I wouldn't mind living in a city. It's just last time I lived in a city, I woke up to too many sirens all the time, and it just,
bullet wounds. I'm allergic to lead.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, we like it's nice and quiet out in
It's
the middle
nice
of nowhere.
and quiet.
Oh yeah.
You can have a bonfire and play your guitar as loud as you want.
Yeah.
And the next day you might be playing a gig in Cleveland at the Agora. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's a good setup, really.
Yeah.
So then you guys used to play like a lot of parties and bonfires and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, high school and probably sometime after that.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys had to be pretty popular out there then.
No.
I'm sure. No.
No.
I mean, with your friends, you had to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they'd always probably love to see you guys come
we were
and
a
start
local
rocking the
sensation
party.
with Badger.
And like when I was younger in school, I was playing in Youngstown all the time with the Youngstonians. So
Uh-huh.
I was never like none of my friends came to see me that often.
Oh.
When they did, they were like, "Whoa,
Yeah, this
you're in a
guy's
band!"
good.
So then the next day at school, they'd be like, "This guy's in a band," and I'd be like, "Oh, wow, you're noticing." Like it was
Yeah.
a weird transition into having people look and notice that shit.
Right. I think
Or
somebody
the
said,
language.
there's some people, at the time, thought I was weird, and then they really thought I was weird. There's other people that thought I was weird, and then they thought I was really cool.
Yeah. Hey, this kid must have thought I was cool because now we're playing in a band, and I'm.
Drinking
Yeah,
beer, hanging with Fast Freddie on
You know
a
what? I want to
Thursday
tell you.
night.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be a fan for a second. I grew up listening to you, and I just thank you for what you do.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem. Cheers. Dilly Dilly.
Dilly Dilly.
Throwback Thursday. Dilly
Yeah.
Dilly, everybody. But that's really cool. So, I'm just looking forward to everybody coming out on Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's going to be a really good time. And there's going to be a lot of people there. And I know they sold over 300 tickets, so that's always good. But, no matter what I do and over all the years and, being a part of this or that or whatever, you always worry if people are going to show up. You never get over that. Like, is it going to be a bust? Quite frankly, you never get over that feeling. Like, because I've seen stuff that I thought was going to be a grand slam home run and there's nobody there,
Right.
The guy's looking at me like, hey, where's all the people at?
Yeah.
Some
We've
of
had
my-
our share of those shows.
I was
yeah.
just gonna say we've played plenty of shows where there's like 2 people.
Yeah. At the same time, we played in front of 700 people last year.
Yeah.
Like down at the West Side Bowl, actually. The West Side Bowl.
Oh, that's place
they've
is
really
coming
been.
on.
Oh yeah, they've been really firing up.
Yeah, I
lately.
should have gave those guys a shout out for a place that
West Side
supports
Bowl.
local music.
Yeah.
They're doing a really good
Really
job.
good.
Yeah, we last year we opened for Traubadelic in front of 700 people. They sold the place out, and
Uh-huh.
I think they sold out at 500, and then they
Let
Said
more
screw
people-
it.
Yeah,
Let's
they let
jam
more
'em
people,
in.
and that was
Yeah.
an incredible experience playing in front of that many people.
Who else was that? Landa Panda too.
Yeah, Lana Panda, our friends Lana Panda were there that night too. They're out of Akron.
Yeah, good to give the West Side Bowl a shout out. That's Vike's hangout too. Where's
really?
Vike, man? I'll tell you. That just shows you the respect that he had for you guys. No respect whatsoever. You got to keep that in mind. Yeah. Thanks, Vike. Thanks for a little love. Thanks for a little support. But he did. I'll tell you, he did take care of you guys on the homegrown show though.
He really did.
And when they took that
Really
one off
did.
the air, that was really a bummer because
No doubt.
that show was really, it had a nice vibe to it and it had a good following. And, it's always fun to hear your music and get it out there to as many people
It
as you
was
can.
really dynamic too because it was just locals and people that were like, "Hey, Viking Jim, here's my CD demo,"
Yeah.
and if it was good, he played it.
Yes.
And being a local and hearing your music,
Yes.
it's like, wow,
Yeah.
they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I know.
nice.
It's a shame that,
Really happy.
that stuff kind of has fallen by the
Oh
wayside.
no, you're doing the same thing right now.
Well, that's what
That's
this is an extension
Yeah,
of. That's
yeah.
why when I had a chance to do this, that's why I started doing this to give, everybody, all, younger guys like you guys and the older guys and the old schoolers that are retired and everything, just so we could talk about the music scene in Youngstown and, reminisce about the good old days and showcase the talent that we have because we really have such talented musicians. And, when I go back to the day when, there'd be, bands 7 nights a week playing in bars. There'd be 5, 6, 7, 8 different bars that had bands on a Tuesday night, Monday night, and people are out there and the place would be packed until 2 o'clock in the morning. And, I miss those days. And I think, well, we talk about this a lot. The DUIs had a lot to do with that. Two things. When they raised the drinking age from 18 to 21, that cut a lot of people out that would go see bands. And then, of course, with the DUIs, that just made everybody so paranoid that, it's like, especially if your fans are in Kinsman. We're going to be playing it downtown Youngstown.
Not driving that far.
Right.
Yeah,
that far back, rather.
Right, that far
Now,
back.
see, back in my day, we'd jump in the car and drive to Cleveland, and, with a case of beer in the back seat, and away we would go into the night, come back at 2, 3 in the morning and not even care.
Right.
Sleep on the beach at Geneva on the lake and then come back or whatever, But it's not like that anymore, and it's a shame. But that's what. Also, I like to, not to, be like grandpa reminiscing about the good old days. But I mean, it's just the whole scene and the stuff that went down. It's just a lot of fun to share those stories. And one thing we always talk about on the show is, like, especially when we were growing up, I mean, music was like a religion. Yeah. I mean, we lived for rock and roll. It was about seeing bands, Left End and all those guys, and going to Hot Day at Idora Park, and and at that time, late 60s, early 70s, you had like guys like Joe Walsh were up and coming, and they're playing, the Harding Prom and the James Gang and things like that, and they're playing in bars around Youngstown, and guys like Bob Seger and stuff, and it was like Raspberries and just all these, and then we just had so much great local talent, and it was just like, it was just such a hotbed for it, and everybody just lived for the music. It was just like that was our thing. I mean, they would do like teen dances at some of these places on a Sunday afternoon, and they'd have like 8, 10 bands, and the place would be packed. Thousands of people would be jammed in there, and everybody, of course, back then, everybody was partying and just drinking Mad Dog 2020 and all this stuff. But I mean, it was a crazy scene, but and it continues on. And then, you look at it and then you take it back to a couple steps before that. And then you see places like, the Green that they used to have there, and the Elms Ballroom. And that was like the predecessor to that, and how that transformed from like the big bands into the 50s and 60s guys, and James Brown. James Brown used to play Youngstown all the time, when he was up and coming.
Wow.
And, there was all these people.
Yeah, for sure.
All these people that used to play, and like my age would talk about the Tomorrow Club. The generation before that, they'd talk about the Elms Ballroom, and just all the different bars where like the Human Beings would play and stuff like that. And it was just such a crazy music scene at the time, and we still got a lot of talented musicians. Now, was your family supportive of you, going and playing music and stuff?
Oh yeah, they've always been real supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, if they took you to see Rush and everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my dad's been a real big musical influence as far as pretty much everything I've listened to, and what I've aspired to be as a bass player, so to speak.
Right. And then, Shane, like your family, the whole family plays. And I see a lot of other guys out there too, that's a common thread that, second, third generation where people are playing because, their dad, their mom, and everybody, they come from a musical family. So I think that makes a difference too.
It really does.
Always listening to music.
Yep.
Always music on. And as soon as I started playing, they were like, oh, well, go ahead and keep playing.
Yeah.
And they were very encouraging about it.
Yeah. Now, see, there was one point back in, especially like, if you're talking about the late 60s and stuff, and when the Beatles were coming out, and, parents would be like, oh, put that guitar down and get a haircut. Where do you think you're going to be going with that?
That was my dad. My dad was that guy.
Yeah. I think they always view it as more of a hobby in the beginning. And then when they start seeing you actually playing big shows and putting out CDs, like, oh, wow.
Maybe you should follow your dream, kid.
Yeah. Hey, you might have something here. But even back then, I mean, even you hear a lot of, big stars or something, they, their parents would be like, we're against it. And when you're playing that guitar, where do you think you're going to go with Bruce Springsteen's one like that? His parents were just like, they didn't get the whole music scene. It's like, what are you wasting your time on that for?
Get
go
a real job.
Go find yourself a real job.
Or
where do you think you're going to go with that? But if you got the love for it and the desire, you guys will be playing forever. You'll be in here, whatever the technology you'll be, and there'll be some other guy in there, and they'll be talking about Primus like it's classic rock. Like, well, in a way, it is. When you start thinking about it,
it is
as fast as time. As fast as time is flying by.
Right. Y103 should be playing Primus.
Look at Nirvana has already moved into the classic rock.
I've been hearing a lot of '90s stuff coming on Y103.
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean,
Stone Temple Pilots.
Look at that. I mean, the Foo Fighters are Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. Dave Grohl's a 2-time Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. And I kind of look at Foo Fighters as like, new music.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, even
but it's
but the way I look at it, I mean, I look at like a decade as a year to me. It seems like a decade is a year. So I look at some of that stuff and I go, oh yeah, some new stuff by Nirvana. It's like, and I say, or Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses came out what? 1988. Oh man, And then
I just found out that Steven Tyler from Aerosmith is 1 year older than Ozzy Osbourne, and that blew my mind. That just blew my mind.
Well, Ozzy in Rockstar years is like 130. Like there's dog years and then there's Rockstar years, and it works the same way.
He's still hanging on there.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to ever come back on tour though. Again, I think after that last accident and everything, and then we kept canceling, and then COVID it come out. So that's what. Well, let's see if we got some messages here. Let's say some hi to some people.
We got live viewers.
Brett Klein says we're not beer abuse because I didn't put that on ice. You know what, Brett? You are correct, but we do have a fridge in the back too.
Yeah,
so
we have cold beers.
Yeah, we do have some cold beer. Yeah, Danny Wagner too. Oh man, everybody's upset. Hey, Lucas, you got to get us a cold beer out of the fridge here, man.
Yeah, can we get a cold beer back?
All right. Hey, listen, guys, we got to make way for Rusted Lullaby.
Okay.
They're coming in next. And I just want to thank you guys. The band is Plinko. How'd you come up with the name Plinko, by the way? I've never.
Oh, well, it's always tough to come up with a band name.
Yeah.
And our music kind of goes in all different directions. Yeah. One day I was watching The Price is Right, and they were playing Plinko. I was like, you know what? How's Plinko sound, guys?
It represents,
it's perfect.
And it represents our style because we go from
bing, all the way down. Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I love it. Well, listen, guys, good luck coming up on Saturday. Thank you very much. And I can't wait to party with you guys on Saturday night. And make sure you check out Plinko, follow them online, and check out all their music. You guys got a website, I would imagine, and Facebook page.
We're on Spotify. I think we're on Pandora too, right?
Pandora, YouTube, all your major streaming platforms are on.
All right, awesome. All right, well, thanks, guys. Dilly.
Thanks for the beer, Dilly.
Yep. Yeah, hey, Lucas, you got to get me a cold one here. These people are, the listeners, the viewers are bitching that we're abusing beer. We do have cold beer here. All right, what's up, guys? Come on in, man. What's going on, man?
Remember me?
Yeah, I do. What's happening? Yeah, right.
I'm great.
I'm doing good, man.
It's nice to see you,
man. Well, it's good to see you guys. I forget your name, though. Carmen, that's right. How can I forget that? Well, I'm old now. We're all kind of old. Yeah. So what's going on, guys? Ready to get rolling here?
Sure.
Right on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody was bitching I didn't have this beer on ice. They didn't know we had some in the fridge.
I don't like warm beer.
Yeah, you guys want one? We got cold ones out there.
Yeah, as long as it's cold, because the last one I had was not cold.
I'll tell you what, this one here, I didn't think it was all that cold when I bought it.
Yeah.
All right, man. So let me just make sure. Yeah, when I talked to you, you should have said it's Carmen from the.
Well, I didn't know if you were busy. You were calling me real quick in between your broadcasts. You know what I mean? I'm not going to bother him. You know what I mean? So
that's cool. That ain't no bother. And your name again is
Ray.
Ray?
Yeah, used to
Ray and
Retribution back in the day. Telegraph, we did all kinds.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we got some some old schoolers here. To, you know,
rock
it's
and
a
roll.
little bit of everybody in this
Yes, sir.
competition.
Yes,
That's
sir.
why it's going to be
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time.
So I got Carmen, Ray, and Chris here with us today, and they are from the band Rusted Lullaby.
Correct.
And Viking Jim in the house.
right.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
Brother, how you been, man? Good to see you.
What's up? Wabbit stew, brother.
Hey, there we go.
Wabbit stew.
Yeah, this one we got
That's
to
some
drink
good
these
times
fast,
out there in
man.
Warren, man. You remember that?
Oh, hell yes.
Recorded.
I was
Wabbit
thinking about it
stew.
not that long ago.
Now,
That's nice, man. It's been a long time.
now, do you remember Carmen? You know where we met Carmen at?
Remember me, Jim?
Where did this guy come from?
Remember me?
Yeah, Carmen was with Steve's band.
No.
No, not from a band.
I used
I
to
was
bring,
with
I used to
Steve.
bring all the features down to the radio station from the Babylon.
Yeah, that's right.
I was with Steve's band. He used to bring the naked chicks to the
I know
station.
that, but that's what I'm making the association. Yeah, because I tell you what, I used to get to drive those young ladies around in the van.
Yeah. Yep.
When I take them around to the bars and whatnot.
Doing the remotes.
I
Yep.
learned more about the world of exotic dancing than I ever wanted to know.
Yes.
But I'm now immune to strippers.
Yeah.
Because I've seen behind the curtain.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
I
downside.
got to
The
be friends
fantasy's
with them.
gone. The
Yeah,
fantasy
that's the
is gone.
Out the window. dude.
Yeah, when you see them in the natural light, the fantasy's over.
Yeah. Now, see, I can't think now. What the hell was the
Hey,
name
come
of
on!
that-
Don't say
the
too
band?
much here. Don't blow up
Retribution
the-
back in the day.
There you go.
Retribution. Oh yeah, man. We used
Out
to
of
have
Warren,
fun with
Ohio,
Retribution.
yeah.
A lot of brain cells between then and now. bro.
Yes.
A lot
You
of brain
betcha.
cells
Yeah.
between then and now.
It's a miracle. Still alive. Check
I
us
know.
out. We're still kicking.
I
Still
know.
here.
Bunch
Still
of old
here.
dudes still in the business, still doing the same things.
Yeah, you should have stuck around. Or did you talk to Shane from the last band? He was in the Youngstonians, and he wanted to thank you for playing their music.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we might be getting the Homegrown Show fired back up again.
Oh, yeah?
Awesome.
On an internet format. We're working to get it going again now at Golden String Radio.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
that'll be a lot of fun. Get old
Are
Gary.
you going to get
Angelo
a
out.
different host though? Maybe that'll add to it. Maybe did you think about that?
Well, I thought about it, but I'm going to have to find somebody that's lighter than you in case I have to carry them.
Yeah, that's like he's like one set of footprints in the sand. You think he's carrying
You see
me.
that place where there's only one set of footprints in the sand? That's where I
Right.
dropped your ass.
No, actually, there's no footprints in the sand because you were holding on to my leg.
No!
Big drag marks.
They're all gone, man. It's all nice and
That's
smooth
it.
behind
That's
me. There's no footprints in the sand, dragging you by the hair like a caveman.
That's funny. Oh, man, those old booby bar days. Oh, man.
It was something.
Yes, it was.
It's a miracle we all survived it, though.
Yeah.
Not for the better, I think.
Yeah.
So far.
Unscathed so far.
Well, my wife and I were talking
Vaguely.
about that the other day, that it's a miracle that we made it this far without either being dead or in jail.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, I had one of my favorites from the features that we had. Remember the one that was in the Navy, and she was also a heavy equipment operator. I don't know if you brought her or not. Then she went out with hubcap. And
that one.
there's still a video out there, and I had it somewhere, and it's one of those things that disappears, and it's still like floating around out there. And it was entitled "Our Best Day Ever at Work." So this woman comes down, and she's 50 double D's
Oh, yeah.
or whatever, and so we did this thing where they would come to work. We could never do that now. We'd call it hard at work, and we would take these strippers to different
Yeah, I did
places.
that.
And,
I was there with you guys doing that.
And
Yeah.
then they'd flash everybody. But I could just see you showing up at somebody's
No, that wouldn't go
workplace
over good now. Nah,
you
not the way
would be in
things
so
are.
much trouble.
Yeah.
So, anyways, these guys are working down at this one mill right down by the train yard, and this chick was in the Navy, and she was a heavy equipment operator.
Mhm.
So she gets in one of these things, and she's driving around one of these front end loaders, the big ass ones, and she's zipping around the thing and everything. And then some of these guys are bitching, "Oh, this blows, man." Next thing you know, now she's topless doing this.
Mhm.
And then these guys, then of course now you got these guys going, "Oh, that's bullshit. I thought she was gonna be naked." Next thing you know, there she is in this loader, flying around this construction yard, bare ass naked.
There you
man.
go. There you go.
And that
Oh,
was
yeah.
just kind of the stuff that we would do
Yes.
back in the day.
How
yeah.
about naked house cleaning?
Naked
That
house
was
cleaning.
a blast. We had the best time that day because one of the winners was a frat house over by White.
Oh, no way.
And they were ready for us. We had all the brothers down there. They were already having a cake party before we got there.
Like at 2 in the afternoon.
Frankenstein 2000. They did some twisted shit back in the day, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, and then how about, remember when Anna Mall went crazy? Were you working there?
Yes.
At that
Oh,
time? Yeah, when she flipped out and
She
fell
pissed
off
all
the
over
wagon.
me. And,
Oh, yeah. Chasing people around with a banana and everything.
and an empty vodka bottle, too.
Yeah. Oh, that was,
I was there.
Big fun,
Yeah.
man. Big fun.
I was there.
One of my favorite features.
me and Cigar John were just
That was
talking about
actually,
that the
not
other
to
day.
be ignorant, but that was one of the best blowjobs of my life that night.
That reminds me too, one of my favorite features we used to have on all the time. They were probably on the station 3 or 4 times. Was the Sin Twins.
Oh, the
Yes.
Spins.
They were so
They
much
were
fun.
awesome.
And great girls and just fun to hang out with. Besides,
Yeah,
obvious,
yes,
you
they
know.
were awesome girls.
Well, you want a lap dance? Sure.
Yeah, Sin Twins were awesome.
That's when we had Tina there too, and they
Yeah,
really
yeah.
liked Tina, boy.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Everybody liked Tina. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yankees.
The good old days. man.
Uh-huh.
It was crazy times.
DAZE is the way we spell that.
Crazy times.
That's crazy. Well, let's talk a little bit about the band here, man. You know, it's
Well, we're called Rusted Lullaby. I'm lead singer, lead guitar player. Ray's our bass player. Chris is on the drums. We're back together now for what? A little over a year now, guys?
Something like
We're
that.
back together for a little over a year now. We had some we have a couple songs that were in the top 10 in New York City for a while. Yeah. I don't know if I can mention the radio station.
yeah, go ahead. man.
Scrubradio.com.
You're talking about getting a blowjob
Yeah.
from a stripper. Can we
Right.
mention
Well,
that?
I wasn't sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we have some standards here. We've got to draw the line
Okay,
somewhere.
okay.
There are some
Don't wanna
things,
cross-pollinate,
there are some
you know,
things you just can't say on this show.
Watch it, buddy.
Got to be careful around here.
Yeah,
Like,
you just
Take care of them, Mike.
All right, you.
we had not one, not two, but we actually had 3 tracks in the top 10 for 3 weeks straight out in New York City.
Wow.
Which enabled us to actually headline CBGB's a few years ago before they closed down.
No
Nice.
shit.
So it
A
was
few
awesome.
years
We
ago,
were not.
we're to 2004.
Yeah, we
Few
were
years
not.
ago.
We
Yeah.
were not in a lineup. We were the headliner at
How
CBGB's.
wild is that? How did
It
that
was
whole thing come
phenomenal.
about?
Awesome. That's
With us getting on
dream
Scrub
come true.
Radio and
That was
having
Mhm.
3 songs in the top 3, and I contacted the bar and asked if we could book a show, and she was like, "Who the hell are you?" And I was like, "Well, go to scrubradio.com when you find out."
Yeah.
Half hour later, she called me and booked me.
No,
No kidding.
Next thing you know, we were on our way to Manhattan.
On our way to New York, man.
Man,
It
that's
was
almost
awesome.
as cool as the Penguin Pub.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
I
shit.
remember those days
I remember
as
those
well.
days too. We played the music station back in the day. I mean, Agora back in
Yep,
the
the
day,
Penguin
Galaxy,
Pub,
the Penguin Pub,
Agora, JB's Lounge,
JB's
CNR's,
Lounge,
CNR
CNR
Saloon.
Saloon
back
Right.
then.
Yeah, man. RJ's out there on
RJ's Holiday
422.
House, which incidentally had the strip place, the Palace
Yeah,
and the
right.
Pine,
Palace and the
right
Pine.
next
Another
door.
one,
So-
another great one.
The
Yeah.
Alice is still there.
Oh, yes,
Is
it
it?
is. Yes, it is.
Wow, I didn't know that, man. I've been
Unfortunately,
out
the
of town for a while.
lamppost ain't. Anyway.
Let's be glad that one's not
Yeah,
there
well,
anymore.
Well,
That was-
Skipper's is still going strong. So I'm told.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm told. I've heard.
So now we're just back together. We got 40 plus originals right now.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, we got
We're
some
working on
serious.
50.
Working on around 50 right now. We do our own nights. We don't need any openers. We could do 10 to 2 nonstop and still have music left over. So
Cool.
Wow.
we've got anything from rock to metal, power ballads, down to make a pit, man. Whatever you want, we got it. Yeah.
And, you know, that's a good thing to be prepared like
Yes.
that, because a lot of bands that come out, especially they're doing original music, they get a dozen songs and they think, "Oh wow,
Yeah, we got
Nah.
a
And
solid
then,
set.
yeah,
It's
you
like,
got a solid
Nah,
set. That's
that's about
good.
it.
Yeah.
You're good right now to open for somebody. Basically, you're not even close to. You got to have 40 plus to do an entire night. There's just no way around it.
Well, back in the day, you needed 50 plus for
Yeah.
a label or whatever to even look at
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
Right,
But
right.
nowadays, with social media, the internet, and the
Yeah.
360 deals aren't as
Yeah.
appealing as they used to be
Right.
back in the day. So most people just avoid labels anyway.
And
When
we-
you can find a good
Everybody's their
booking
own
agent,
label now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
just get out there.
We
and do
have
it,
like
you
I think
know?
we got 9 tracks on the website.
Yeah, something
we
like
got
that.
9 tracks posted on the website too, rustlullaby.com.
Looking forward to getting into the studio and
what we have going on. You know what I mean? So we got power ballads in there. We got some rock songs in there. There's some faster ones in there. So it gives you a little taste of everything that we got to offer. And
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
pretty cool stuff, man.
then the struggle of cutting out so many that we want to use for the next recording. The next
Exactly.
recording,
it's sometimes it gets rough. But
So you guys are rolling. You guys are on a pretty good roll.
Oh yeah,
for old guys, you're still out there rolling and cooking.
Oh yeah,
we practice.
Oh yeah, man. We practice 3 to 4 times a week. I hit the gym 5 to 6 days a week. We're not slowing down, man.
That's awesome.
Haven't
Ain't
since
not
the virus.
slowing down.
So tell us a little bit about your music. What can people expect from you guys?
I mean, if you like 3 Days Grace, Bad Wolves, 5 Finger Death Punch, Megadeth, things along that line, you're gonna love us. You're gonna love us.
Okay.
You're gonna love us.
There's definitely some roughness in there. We're not by any means thrash, but by the same token, we're not
glitter rock either. So
Right.
we're right in that. We're in that fine little line.
You know what I mean?
I'm not picturing you guys in spandex.
You're right, exactly.
Not happening.
You are correct, Viking.
Right.
I haven't worn spandex since
I might rock a pair of
'86.
spandex Saturday just
Just for Viking. Just for Viking.
Check us out.
I mean, for the bike.
We'll bust out the studded leather belts too, man.
That means we're going to get an extra vote from one of the judges. And we'll take one for the team.
Right. If it pays well.
Tie a bandana around my leg and, go the whole 9 yards with it. Yeah.
We have the song that was actually #1 in New York. It's called Keys. And we actually entered that onto a Columbia Records website back in 2004, and we actually won 3 different online awards just for that song.
Really?
The composition, vocals, and the way the guitar lead was written.
Yeah.
We won 3 awards for that on Columbia Records online.
No kidding.
So we got some stuff going on, man.
Right on.
Really?
Right on, man.
So who was your influence in getting into music?
Honestly,
Yeah.
Wicked Lester.
I love
Just to bring back a little bit of the old days. I was 13 years old. My parents looked at me and said, "Hey, we got a surprise for you tonight." And being the 13-year-old boy I was, I'm thinking, my parents, are they going to get me a prostitute? Is that what's happening tonight? Like, is this what's happening tonight? Like, hell yeah, So then they ended up taking me to, the hell's the name of it? No Days. Hideaway. And my cousin Ronnie Cole was in the band at the time, Wicked Lester. And that's what my parents took me in. I knew that night, this is what I want to do.
Yeah,
and at 13, I started playing guitar, self-taught, and started singing it around 17 out of necessity, just because we couldn't keep tight. It was hard to find a singer back then. So I was just wording the songs to kind of keep the song tight and everybody into their parts.
Right.
A few months down the road, I was like, we don't need a singer. We're good right now. So, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's crazy. That's crazy. How about you, Ray? What got you rolling?
My thing worked the opposite, man. I started out at like 13 as a guitar player.
You got the prostitute. Okay, you started with the prostitute.
Yeah, exactly.
But he started with the guitar and then went to the Babylon. Okay,
I worked my way back down. No, I started playing guitar at a very young age just because I was interested in it. Some kid taught me Working Man, and I thought that was the coolest thing. Whoa, I just learned bar chords. You know what I mean?
Power chords.
So I played guitar for years and years and years. And then back in the day, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, I was hooked up with a thrash act called Furious Hatred when I moved into this town.
Okay.
And it was like
my cousin singing.
Yeah. And that was a good time for a while. And then we lost our bass
Chucky
player.
Kuntz from Christmas Auto.
Yeah.
He was a singer for them back in the day. And he was actually my first singer in my first band called Wicked Wish. He was my first original singer back in the day. When I was 13.
Yeah, I played guitar for years. Yeah. Then I came out here and I got tapped to be a singer because I could also do that. And then I was a singer for a while. We lost our bass player. So out of necessity, I said, give me an axe, man. I'll do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then we went out as a power trio for a minute. And that worked out pretty cool. And then we got Chucky in. And before you know it, it was like I was slinging a bass and liking it. I mean, I quite enjoy it. It's
And he wasn't in nothing when we got together. And I was like, Ray, we need a bass player.
You want to jam? That was after Retribution, Dillagaff, or whatever. You know what I mean? I did my thing. And then he said, you want to jam? And I said, oh, yeah.
Boy, Dillagaff, we had some good times with that band.
We opened up a couple times for them guys back in the day, back when we were called Chaos Theory.
Yeah, because back in the day when we changed it from Retribution to Dillagaff, all we changed was we got Ronnie McCloskey on the drums, Gary Palcisco on the bass.
Yeah.
And it was Stevie Pinion on the guitar and me. You know what I mean? And that's how it started. That was the original.
Steve was an original Dillagaff guy. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, Stevie and I, basically, we recruited it because we ended up losing like Walt and Jeffy and the guys from Retribution. So we put together another act. We brought in Palcisco and we brought in Ronnie McCloskey from, he's with Haymaker now. I think.
Right.
We brought in Ronnie and we started Dillagaff. And everything followed their course. I moved
Yeah.
out of town for a bunch of years, but I came back, and then as soon as I came back, these guys were like,
Let's
"Oh
go.
boy, he's back!" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's
Come on,
go.
we get a jam, and it's like
It's fate.
Yeah.
it was, man, because I started collecting that fed
Well, yeah, 'cause him
unemployment.
and
And
I
I
were
came
still-
back into town.
Yeah.
Doing things together, but it's
This,
just a
this
guitar
animal
player and a
right here
drummer,
was the first
you
kid
know?
I ran into. I pulled at the Walmart parking lot, and there's Chris. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
dude, you're back in town. It's like, yeah. I've been gone
5
for
minutes
years.
later, I get a phone call. Carmen, I just ran into Ray. He's back in the town. I was like, does he have a bass?
I figured he had that money he owes me.
Yeah, exactly. He got that money. He owes me. He owes me 50
Because
bucks.
if he has the money he owes me, tell him to use it for a bass.
Yeah, 4 days before that, we're like,
Yeah.
we're not getting.
And it was maybe
unless
what
Ray
was
comes
it?
Back up.
About a week and a half to 2 weeks after we spotted him, we were back in the basement making music.
Yep.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. So what was the first concert you went to? Oh,
My first concert ever was
the real one.
1987 at the Cleveland Coliseum, somewhere in time. Iron Maiden was my first.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Dude. Me and my brother ripped the seats out of the freaking place, man. We were ripping them and throwing them. It was
Vandals.
awesome.
Maiden, that's my band.
Oh,
Dude,
right
somewhere in
on.
time was the tour, man.
First time I saw Maiden, Paul Diano was still the singer. They were on tour
Oh.
for Killers.
Oh, that's
They were opening
that's
for
cool.
way
Judas
back,
Priest
yeah.
and Stanley in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Oh, dude,
That's
my
ironic.
band.
Right on.
That was my first concert.
Yeah.
Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, except for it wasn't with Deanna. They had Dickinson at the time.
Okay, yeah, that was the tour after when
Yeah, I saw that.
Dickinson joined the band.
Yeah, I saw that in Chicago at the WLS Amphitheater, and it was like,
That's a
wow,
great
that was like
tour.
my first concert.
Yeah.
And they had Axe.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a semi-local band that did that knockdown, drag out party in the street song years ago. They were the warm-up act.
Right.
You know what makes an old school Iron Maiden Judas Priest show even better?
Hmm.
Lysergic acid diethylamide.
Oh yeah, all bad.
First time.
Nothing like tripping at a Priest concert.
Dude, it was my first show, my first metal show. It was my first concert, my first
Right.
metal show. July 4th, 1981, was me, my buddy Joe, and the late great Alan Silliman. And the mole was driving. And we were tripping, and the only cigarettes we had, mole had spilled gasoline on them. We were smoking them anyway. They had
Right.
dried out.
You got to do what you have to do, right?
It was Iron Maiden with Paul Diano touring for Killers. Judas Priest was on tour for Point of Entry. And the middle band was Whitesnake. But it was old school Whitesnake when they were still like half deep purple. It wasn't the hair.
Oh, okay.
It was
Exactly.
like a boss concert. Yeah.
I'll bet, man.
I'll bet.
Bet.
With Viking Jim.
How about you, Chris? When did you start, Chris?
When I started, when I was 12,
12.
I started in the garage, man, self-taught and that.
Uh-huh.
Always certain songs, Eye of the Tiger, this, that, and that. I wanted to play all the way through.
Yeah.
And then once you played one, it was like, wow, I want to play another one. Then it
I
went
didn't know what
to
to figure
watching
out.
these
Yeah.
guys playing Metallica. I was like, I want to play that. I want to play Rush. I want to play Iron Maiden. You
Yeah.
know, it was like,
So
And
when
it-
you were first starting out and first learning, did you just kind of disappear from your friends and
Yeah,
all of a
pretty
sudden,
much.
because you'd learn that one song
Right.
and then you'd move
Right.
on and then you, oh wait, I can learn this one now. I'm almost
Yeah,
there. I
yeah.
gotta try this one, and then
right. A
then the
good
next
friend
thing
of
you know-
mine, he was like, I got a whole bunch of different colored drums. I'll give them to you. Set it up in the garage. I had a double bass, different color set, you know, toms and stuff like that.
Frankenstein set.
That's
yeah,
right.
Frankenstein, and I loved it, man. I was in that. As soon as I got home from school, I was in there jamming till
That's
it was
right.
time to cut the, you know.
My first
he like,
guitar
"All
was
right, it's
actually
9
a
o'clock."
Kmart guitar.
uh-huh.
One of those acoustic burgundy piece of crap Kmart guitars. I believe it was a Harmony.
Yeah, there you go.
That was my first guitar.
And what was the first song you played?
My first song was actually Seek and Destroy.
Mm.
The first song I played learned to play all the way through was Highway to Hell.
Uh-huh.
I learned that one lead and all because that was actually going to be a cover we were covering at the time when I was in the band that I was in at the time.
Yeah.
But the first song I actually learned myself was Seek and Destroy.
So what were some of your favorite rock clubs around town over the years? All you guys.
Oh
What were some
man,
of the places you
CNR
liked?
Saloon,
CNR,
JB's
Lounge, RJ's out there on
RJ.
420.
A little later on, Hammerjacks.
Hammerjacks
Oh,
was
yeah.
fun,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Hammerjacks was fun.
New music station, although they didn't have bands there a lot, but I
Not
think
a
I
lot.
lived half my
But we
life
did
out
play
at the
there when they
station,
did.
you know, when it was
Well,
open.
as most
Yeah.
people did.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Gerchak was alive, he'd
We'd
be
hit
sitting
the
at the edge
music
of the bar.
station and then we go get Penny Giraffe Night across the
All
street.
right,
Oh,
go, go,
I
guys.
remember a brain fart. What was the name of the place that used to be on 5th?
We were already
The
having this
arcade. We were
discussion
just
earlier.
discussing
We
that.
cannot
Ernie
remember
McDougal's, maybe?
what
No,
the
it was in
arcade.
the
You come-
arcade. There you
Yeah.
go.
That's what it was.
Yes,
That's
that's it.
what it was.
Oh,
Because we were
crazy
just
time.
talking about that today. Neither
Just
one of
out
us could
there
figure it
talking
out.
about. Yeah, remember this used to be our stomping ground.
Now
We
it's
tore this
gone.
place up.
And the funny thing is,
I used to like Nia Bingies too. I used to like
Nia
playing there
Bingies
too.
was great. Had
I
the
used to like
best
playing there
jukebox
too.
on the planet.
That's when Cedars was.
Yeah, I liked playing
Down there,
Cedars. We
yeah.
used to play Galaxy out in Canton. There was a couple places out of town we used to play all the time with Wicked Lester and Metal Lord back in the day. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
Ron's
was fun
Crossroads.
Ron's was
Chameleon.
fun, yeah.
They got
Chameleon
this
Club's
spot, Nia
fun.
Bingy. That jukebox down there, best jukebox I've ever seen. Any jukebox that has Motorhead next to Johnny Cash.
That's right.
You're good.
Yeah, exactly.
But even back in the CNR days, we opened up
yelling
for.
on stage. What more can you ask for?
But even back in the CNR days, we were opening up for like major acts like LA Guns.
Uh-huh.
We opened up for the Gods. I mean, we had,
Yeah.
and I was 15, 16 at the time. I mean, my parents had to bring me to the bar so I could play.
Well, back in the day, that was even before 9/11. So
Yeah.
the bars would just pack in. You know,
It was
whenever
awesome.
whenever you had a show, you'd
Yeah.
play somewhere.
See, it was always packed back then.
There'd be
There was nothing else to do. There wasn't no cell phones or internet.
and everybody
back then.
was out. Where's everybody tonight?
Either you
They're
went
at
to a
JB's
movie or you
Lounge.
went to see a
Everybody
band.
filing
That's
to
right.
JB's or
Right.
CNRs to see
Yeah,
what was
that's what I
going
was
on.
telling these last guys from, some of these younger guys about how,
Mhm.
like, when we started,
Boomer.
rock and roll was like a religion. For
Yes.
us. You know, I mean,
Yes.
and it
Absolutely.
started way
Everybody
back
was
in the
family.
60s.
Everybody
Yeah,
was
and
family.
it was like you
Mhm.
just lived for rock and roll and to go see
Yeah.
bands and concerts and everything.
Uh-huh.
Our whole life revolved around
Yeah.
that. It started with the Beatles and even the
Yep.
Monkees on TV, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was just like music.
I
just
remember being a
consumed
kid
us.
watching Elvis on TV going, wow,
Yeah.
man, wow. Wow.
Oh yeah,
Like, wow,
Yeah.
just being like 9 years old and just watching Elvis on TV playing his guitar, you used to think, wow, that's some cool shit. You know what I mean? And then, of course, he got fat and died, but it was still cool.
yeah.
Hell of an ending, though.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't mind dying of an overdose on a commode. I mean, at least people remember that.
It wouldn't be too bad.
Knowing your dream might come true.
Yeah.
No wonder he's got a will to live. He's got a goal.
Dropping
You got
some
a
peanut butter
vision.
banana sandwiches.
Yeah.
Just got a boom off to see your maker. Yeah.
Drop dead while dropping the kids off at the pool.
Right.
That's all I'm asking for. Is that asking for too much out of life?
Nah, man.
It's good to see that this guy has a vision, though, and a goal.
Yes,
exactly.
it's a
Some
goal.
people,
Everybody got to
some
have
people
goals.
just float through life
Yeah.
with, no
Hey.
purpose in life.
I survived the east side. I can survive anything.
Right. There you go. Speaking
Well, it
of
ain't
which, this is a
over
really
yet.
nice studio.
It's only the
Very
third
nice
quarter.
Got
It's
plenty
only
of
the
time.
eighth inning. Don't worry
Plenty
about
of time. Plenty of time. Put a drive together. Everything's going to be great.
it. There
You
you
got
go.
another 50 years ahead of you.
Awesome. Yeah, at least.
And we do
At
offer
least.
banner exchange on our website too, whether you're a business or another band. If you
Oh, okay.
connect with us on the website,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah,
stick
hit us
your-
up. We'll drop a banner.
We'll drop
on
a
it.
banner on our site. You drop one of our banners on your site. We're not stingy like that. We want
Yeah.
everybody to hear music, man.
Yeah,
Guys.
that's what
Right.
this whole podcast is about too.
Yeah.
The main thing is to just get guys to come down, and whether it's the
Yeah.
old schoolers or the guys that are retired, the young kids
Mhm.
coming up,
Yeah.
guys our age. It's all it's all good. That's
It's about
that's
the
what
music.
we're trying to do.
Everybody loves music,
and
man.
everybody's
Right.
got a story, and I
Yep.
think, and people like to hear about everybody's
Yeah.
first concert, and the
Yeah.
first album you bought. Where'd you get your guitar? Where'd you
Hey.
play? What the first song was
Fred,
you learned?
I think these guys have more than a story.
Right, how long
We don't. How long you got?
The first 10 minutes of the interview was nothing but days of Babylon.
Hey, nothing
Oh, yeah.
wrong with tits and beer, man.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Days
some
of
good
beer.
times over there.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, great times.
big time.
Boy, that one car wash we had, that one bikini car
Oh,
wash.
my
we
With
had.
that
God.
cookout and stuff going
Yeah.
on,
I
yeah,
still
that
have
was
some
cool.
off
pictures
the
from
hook.
that. I still
Yeah.
have some pictures from
Woo,
that.
that
Which
was
one was that? The one that we
fun
did or
that
before that?
That was before that.
Oh yeah, man.
There's been a few of those. That's why I said, is that one of the ones we did, or was that
Nah,
before
that's way
that?
before us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's but man, I'll tell you what, the good old days in Youngstown really were the good old days.
Yes,
We
It's
can
not
make
like-
more of them.
It's
Right,
not like
that's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
we can.
Bring them back.
Yeah, it ain't
Yes,
done. It
we
ain't done.
can.
Like
No,
Mike
no,
said,
we're not
Mike
done.
ain't done.
We're not
It
done.
Hell
ain't,
no,
it ain't no
me.
until Mike says it's done.
That's
Oh,
right.
well,
You're
then we're
gonna hear.
good.
You're
That'll be
gonna.
when I drop dead on the toilet.
Yeah, exactly.
Our music is.
So wait a
it's-
minute, you mean we're ending this at like 1:00?
It's rock metal, but at the same time, it's actually very
A
intelligent.
little longer than
Yeah,
that.
smart
You
metal.
know, it's intelligent. It's structured. It's done correctly.
Okay, cool.
You know what I'm
I'm gonna
saying?
go home and check out the website.
Yeah,
as
I
soon
mean,
as I
we've-
get there.
Yeah, you should.
It's done correctly. it's not that we take a lot of time on our music, but we know each other's style. We know what we're looking for in each other at this point. So now it's like I could bring a rhythm to practice today, and maybe by next week we might have that first verse and that chorus already done with that song.
Yeah.
So now we're just getting ready to do the rest. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I mean, it's nice when you've got musicians that actually know how to play their instrument, know how to listen to the other guys playing their instrument and play with that
That's
instead of against
key
it.
to
You know
every
what I mean?
good band
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
You hit it.
Yeah, we present the material and everybody goes, "Oh, cool,
cool,"
and expounds on that.
Exactly.
And before you know it,
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
We got our next band ready? Yeah, hey, we're running a little bit behind
That's
schedule,
fine.
guys. You know, these guys, the old schoolers, we could talk to them all night. You know?
Hey, we'll still be there Saturday too. You can talk to us there
Hey,
too.
that's right. No, listen, we'll get you guys back on pretty soon.
Okay.
You know, once you get
Anytime,
if you
man.
got something going that you want to promote, give me a buzz. You got my number.
Well,
now?
we probably will be putting together a benefit for my cousin who was just diagnosed with breast cancer. So if we get that going,
Okay.
I'll definitely get back to you.
Sounds good, man.
All right,
Carver,
so-
my brother, good to see you, man. Ray, Chris, good to see you guys, man. I can't wait until Saturday night, man. Oh, yeah, man. All right, good to see you guys. Carver, man, should have let me know earlier. But now I knew you were busy, and I was like, I'll tell him to get there. All right, sounds good.
I straighten them up. I straighten them up. I got symbols.
Well, see, that's the reason for the whole acoustic guitar. When
Right.
he does a good job, we can throw a piece of snacks.
Scooby snack here.
Hey, nice
All right, man.
Freddie,
Have a seat there.
I gotta go see our good friend Jay Wiley. He's downtown.
All right.
Gotta go down and check out his show
All
next
right.
week.
All right, sounds good.
Where's
Come on
Jay?
in, guys. Have a seat,
What's going
man. Here we go. You got enough room over there?
I think
Or here,
so.
I'll
I think we
slide down a
squeeze
little
in.
bit here.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
Oh yeah, everybody just squeeze in there. We'll have a seat there somewhere.
sit too close to these guys.
Oh, so you're
How
gonna
about
sit
that?
by me,
That's
right?
right,
I'm
yes.
Boy, I feel privileged. See, he wants to sit next
You
to me.
should. Yeah.
It's like when you're in with your family on vacation and you got to sit by the window. You know,
Yes,
and,
right. You
I don't want to sit by her.
You can sit by the cool
I
guy.
was always the hump guy. I like to sit on the hump.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
All right, man. So we got the guys here from the Sneaky Heat Missiles.
Yeah.
And if everybody introduce yourself.
I'm Suit Coat Dave. You
All
can tell
right.
by the suit coat.
Uh-huh.
Sammy B. I'm Sir Richard Dean Gert III, and this is our newest member,
My name is Johnny Bones.
Johnny Bones.
Johnny Bones.
My son Mordecai, our faithful drummer, is not being faithful tonight. He is not here. He had something better to do, I guess.
Okay. What do you mean?
plans.
To
Right?
diss
Like a
me like
better?
that?
No,
To diss me like that?
We
Boy,
told
I'll
him,
tell
we were
you,
like, this is
told him.
even
unacceptable.
Viking
Fast
Jim
Freddie?
showed up. You know what? Oh,
I should have grounded him into coming.
Should have, yes.
Kids these days.
Kids these days,
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, he's never too old. You're his old man. He'll do what you tell him to do and like it.
I like it.
Hey, anyways, for those of you just joining us, I want to tell you about what we got going on. Saturday, we have a Battle of the Bands at Quaker Steak and Lube in downtown Sharon, and it's to benefit Tales of Hope, it's Spay and Neuter Clinic. And some of the things that we've got going on, it's a $10 ticket, but your ticket is also good for the door prize, a Yeti door prize pack for $500. So just for buying a ticket, you might win a Yeti cooler and some other prize pack, which is good
Great.
stuff.
Yeah.
We have 130 basket raffles there.
Wow.
That should be pretty wild.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite. When I win, I don't want any of you guys bitching that it was fixed or anything because, well, it might have been, but I don't want anybody bitching.
Okay, yes.
But they're giving away the Wagon of Cheer, and they're spelled like wagon to tail, W-A-G-G. But this is a wagon full of $800 worth of booze.
Oh,
$800 worth of booze, man.
that's a lot of wild turkey.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then
That's
they
a lot of
got a
wagon.
lot of raffle tree that they're raffling off, $235 in tickets, 50-50. And of course, we have 6 bands coming up, including these guys from the Sneaky Heat Missiles. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your band and the sound and how you guys got started and the whole 9 yards?
Yeah.
Well, my son and I, who plays drums, we kind of were on the tail end of another band that wasn't working out. And meanwhile, Suit Coat Dave was courting me. He was like, I want to play bass in a band.
It is true.
And
Very much courting.
once that band fizzled out, I'm like, all right, Suit Coat Dave, let's do some music. And I sent him a bunch of stuff, and it was all kind of heavy and kind of melodic, and everything he sent me back was like pop punk. And there was no way I was going to play pop punk music. But if you add horns to it, it turns into ska.
Right.
So yeah, like fuck it, let's do a ska. Can I say fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck it. Let's do a ska.
The last guy was talking about getting a blowjob from a stripper.
Oh, wow. I missed that one.
All right. That's my second favorite activity. So yeah, that's kind of how we started out.
That's the music.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't qualify that at all. I didn't know we were talking about that tonight. I thought we were just talking about music. Oh, well, listen, let me tell you.
Wow. Yeah.
So we started up, I want to say December of 2019, and we spooled up some songs, we played a couple of covers, and our very first show was at the Gardner Theater in Meadville, PA, and it was the day everything shut down.
Yep.
Oh, man. So right around St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And we kind of had a rough go of it. We managed to get some real small limited seating shows and stuff like that. But now that things are opening up, our schedule looks really good, and we're starting to play some fun places now.
Oh, that's awesome. So where are some of the places where you guys play?
We just finished up Mr. Smalls in Millvale.
Oh, yeah,
We're
that's a
playing
good
again
place.
tomorrow night for the Millvale Music Festival at Strange Roots Brewery. And of course, the Battle of the Ska Bands on Saturday. So super looking forward to that.
Yeah, that last band, they look like a ska band
Yeah,
too.
they
I mean,
did,
you know,
yes, right.
They were a little bit heavy for a ska band. Yeah,
We'll have to battle it out. I mean,
Right,
it's all about
yes.
image, you know.
it's all about it.
They definitely had more hair than us.
Because okay, they had the hair.
Yeah.
Did they have anybody in a suit coat in that band?
I don't think
Did
they
you see
did.
one?
No.
Did
there
you
was
see any of them
absolutely
three
not.
wearing a
missing.
suit coat?
Yeah. No.
No.
Slacking.
No.
Yeah.
So where are you guys from?
Originally from Sharon area. The rest of the guys are from Youngstown. So we're all pretty much Youngstown centric.
Okay.
In fact, Dave, Sam, and I met at YSU. We were all going to YSU for engineering.
Why town, my town.
Yeah. And Dave and I both teach at YSU on occasion when it makes sense. So I want to say 4 out of the 5 of us are engineers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. My son's going to YSU for engineering. Johnny Bones is slacking off here. He's not getting an engineering degree, but he is going to Dana School of Music.
Yeah, going for music recording.
Music recording. He's literally the only one qualified to play in this band right now.
Yeah. We figured we needed at least one musician, just one.
Yeah.
Well, it's like. Did you guys ever see that episode of Drew Carey when they're getting a band together because they wanted to get chicks? So they're auditioning a guitar player, but they didn't want anybody good because the guitar player was going to get all the
girls. Yeah.
And so then they had this audition, and then it was like Slash from Guns N' Roses, and Johnny Lang, and Dusty Hill from ZZ Top, and Michael Stanley was on there, and they go through this. Roy Clark was on there, and they go through all these players, and they all come out, and every time they do something, they go, no, not quite what I'm looking for. So then at the end, Joe Walsh was on the show, and Joe Walsh played like their dopey neighbor. And he come over and he goes, I'll give it a try. And, he's just up there, bing, 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 bing. They go, there's our guy. They said, Johnny, what are you doing Friday night? Nothing. You want to play in a band? I guess. How much? $10. All right, I'll be there. And so, anyways, long way to go on that. But,
we got one musician.
That's always good to have in a band.
It is good.
At least one.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. That's what we think.
And you know what? You got one. This way, you guys don't have to worry about anything
Right,
else,
yeah.
Put that all on him. And you guys,
he's got big shoulders. He can handle it.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
He's not pulling down any ladies though. He's not doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not scaring them away though, is he?
I have a girlfriend. So.
Oh,
he said no. It's over.
Man.
Sorry, ladies.
Sorry. So much for that one. So much for that.
You can hook them and pass them
Just
over
broke a lot of hearts right on this.
That's
podcast.
right there. Yes.
Dang.
I hear a collective.
Everybody over at YSU, just hear it out here.
Yeah.
Youngstown greater community. Just let down.
Yeah, look at that. Is the guy on the end single?
Wow.
No, I am. I'm very single.
Danny Wagner said, I got to win that Yeti cooler to put this beer in.
I've
been taking a lot of flack today because I had to. We have beer in the cooler if you guys want one. Anybody want one?
Yeah, we have.
did.
Oh, you got one?
Right?
Oh, okay.
Beered up
Okay.
already.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks.
anyways, so they're talking about me abusing this beer, but we did have some in the cooler.
Yeah. Johnny and I were drinking out in the parking lot before we came in.
Well, that's a Youngstown thing. That you guys said Youngstown all the way,
right?
You know that's always my definition of Youngstown. You go to a bar, you drink a 6-pack in the parking lot, you sneak a flask in, and you get pissed because they got a $3 cover charge.
Right.
You know?
That's very
the Youngstown way, man.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, Danny Wagner, he's busting me on not having a cooler. Oh, he's crying. Come on, Danny. Let's see. Michelle said she liked the last band. Brittany said, I love you. I'm not sure who she's talking to.
She's talking to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's exactly who she was. Oh, yeah. A lot of
Is that are those boobs right there? Are they sending you boobs?
Yeah, look at that.
Oh my goodness, wow.
I cannot believe what that woman is doing right there. It's amazing. Since you guys got in here, what people are sending.
Oh my goodness.
This is just you know, I don't know what they think is going on here, but man, to send stuff like that online, it's
yes, we can definitely rile up.
I almost feel, obligated to send something back.
Yeah, I was gonna say wait till maybe.
Oh, okay, all right.
It wasn't in my contract.
Okay, never mind about that.
Have you guys done this Battle of the Bands before? How come I've never?
I've never done this Battle of the Bands before. This is brand new.
Nice.
And it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
So we're at the first annual
Battle
of the Ska Bands.
Yeah. Battle of the Ska Bands.
Battle of Ska Bands.
Yeah, and we should win by default because there are no other ska bands.
It's true. I was going to say it was amazing that we found 6 of them.
Yeah, it's great in the Youngstown area. Yeah,
pretty
so
impressive.
How did you guys decide to get a ska band together? Well, because you didn't just like the punk and you wanted a trumpet. So are you the trumpet player? Is that why? Okay. I was just wondering.
Well, for a while, we were the world's smallest ska band because all we had was Sammy B playing the saxophone. And Johnny B here, Johnny Bone stepped up playing some trombone. He also plays some trumpet, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I play alto sax on the recordings. We have an EP that should be released in October. Sam plays the rest of the saxophones. We have Barry, soprano, and tenor on the recordings. I play guitar and sing, though live it's really hard to play saxophone and sing at the same time.
A little bit.
And Dave plays the bass and also sings. We kind of share the duties on singing and stuff. Yeah.
And we grew up with ska.
Yeah,
I mean, all of us.
Yeah, we did.
Really, we were kind of right in that age
90s,
thing. Except for
John. Yes,
except for John. So I'm 43. You're 43.
Yeah.
You're what? 38, 37,
52.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah, you guys are old. You guys are old. Don't worry.
So yeah,
I mean, we all grew up. Yeah, we all grew up listening to this.
It was the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, Sublime,
Real Big Fish,
Big Fish.
all those guys.
Yeah, and they were, you were hearing some of that stuff on the radio back then. So we heard a lot of that when we were in high school, and it just kind of stuck around.
Yeah.
I like it. It's fun. It's happy. It's upbeat. And I feel like the world could use some more of that. Fun, happy, upbeat. Music.
It is a good time.
Yeah, you usually don't cry at the end of a ska show. Usually, it can't happen. So, but
yeah.
And it's been really diverse lately. Like a lot of they talk about the potential fourth wave ska. All of the stuff in the mid to late 90s was third wave. And like the new stuff that's coming out, like Gray Matter and the Best of the Worst, it's some really heavy shit that they're just adding trumpets to and sax and trombone. And, they're getting the extra added benefit of the horn melodies on top of whatever else they're doing. So ska music kind of like brings the best of all the little genres and puts it together. And I feel like we do that with our band as well.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, we're definitely not the stereotypical ska music. Yeah. We definitely have a
ska snob would be sound. Like, you guys aren't ska.
Yeah, right. 100%.
We put some emphasis on the upstrokes and we have our horn melodies and stuff like that. But like a lot of our songs kind of have a rockabilly feel to them. Some of them are just straight up rock. Some of them are straight up punk. And we don't really go into it with any kind of preconceived notion of what we want to put out. We just want to have fun with the songs.
Right.
And we usually we leave practice and everybody's smiling. So we have a pretty good time with it.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been together?
Well, December 2019, I think Sam stepped up.
Beginning somewhere 2020.
Like March or so of 2020.
Somewhere, beginning first quarter.
Sam and I actually, he asked me for the first time. We were watching one of the last Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
We went to the theater to see the Star Wars movie, and Sam's like, "What's this bullshit you're doing with Suit Coat Dave?" I'm like, "We're doing a ska band. You want to be in it?" He's like, "Fuck yeah, dude." So,
man, hell yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple of younger
I've played
guys that
saxophone in
tried out.
15 years. Yeah, let's do it.
Exactly. That was one of the things. Is like we've had people kind of try out and come and go, and they're like, "Well, we're not really good musicians," but you don't have to be a great musician. You just have to learn the lines and have a really good time while you're out there.
Yeah, that's a big part of the whole thing. You know?
Yeah.
That's why people go see bands to have a good time.
Right.
Yeah, and
put on a good show.
There, all stiff-lipped and rigid and not doing anything, and it doesn't translate well to the audience having a good time as well.
Right. I would see that you guys obviously have some great stage presence, so I think that if you were there, it'd be a good time, audience interaction, and that kind of thing.
I haven't had a big enough crowd to stage dive yet, so not yet. But
maybe this week, maybe
this
Saturday
week?
might be the day.
That's
maybe we'll get Viking Jim down there in the front row and see what he could do.
Yeah, I'll stage dive in a suit coat. That'd be fun. That'd be good times.
Viking Jim will catch you.
just him.
Hey, even though Viking Jim like 10 years ago broke his hip playing paintball with like teenagers, I'm sure he'll catch
He'll
you
catch
for
me.
stage
Yes.
dive.
Yeah. He can hold me. I'll do like the swan thing, up in the air. Great.
Oh yeah, body surfing. We're gonna do it all with you guys on Saturday.
Good time.
Which is typically, if I would say, well, what do you expect? It'd be mosh pit, body surfing, stage dives, the whole,
the gamut.
And that's just for start in the nude.
For the
yes, of course, yes, right.
A lot of women flashing,
right?
A lot of nudity and things like that. Everything you expect from their. So who come up with the name, the Sneaky Heat Missiles?
Oh man, we passed names back and forth for 2-3 months, and
it was a while.
I threw one out there just for the sake of absurdity, and it stuck. Like all the best bands are named after penises, like Finger 11, and who else is out there? Nickelback. They're not. It's not a penis name. They're just a bunch of dicks. But it's a time-honored tradition. You name your band after a penis, and you end up going somewhere. So that's kind of what I'm hoping happens.
Yeah.
Boy. He studied engineering and not marketing.
Yes.
Somebody that said, now when you're up there at that fancy college there over YSU, they teach you anything about marketing? And,
no,
a different building.
They're all
that's
across the street.
That's like the Butthole Surfers. I mean, when they first started, they couldn't. Nobody would put their, nobody would mention them on an ad on the radio. Nobody would put their name of the band in the newspaper. Nobody would even want to put it on the side.
Yeah.
So that's why you went that Butthole Surfers was already taken.
Butthole Surfers was taken.
Might as well do
there was another band in the area called the Stinky Meat Whistles, and I can't figure out if they are copying us or whatever, but
sounds to me that way.
I think and I think they're trying to take our fan base, and their name is similar enough that they might be trying to sneak in on that. But
so you went with the Sneaky Heat Missiles.
Sneaky.
What were some of the names that didn't quite make the cut?
Oh shit! Midnight Commuter.
Yeah, I can see why you're going.
Oh shit!
Shit didn't make the cut.
That didn't.
I can't. I don't know.
There's a Hammer one, wasn't there?
There was Maxwell's Hammer.
Yeah,
we'd have to go back and look at our.
There was Maxwell's Hammer.
Yeah,
it was named before I got in the band. So I don't even know this.
You guys had that one, and this is
that's what I'm like kind of disappointed. Like
changing the name now.
Really? A Beatles reference? And we went with this?
Yeah, people might thought you were a Beatles tribute.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, they're worthy of being tributed, but not in our band. That's too highbrow for us.
Yeah, we only got one musician. We would need more musicians if we were going to be. Yes, right.
For people would do a tribute band, I would think.
Yeah, more than one.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, so you never know where this might head. Somewhere down the road. So let's just go around the thing here. How did everybody get started in music?
Just elementary school, had an opportunity to jump on the old recorder, and then from there I just wanted to play drums, but didn't really have good rhythm, so went with the saxophone, and then just played that all the way up through high school.
And it all started
jazz band, marching
in my day we used to call it the flutophone.
Flutophone, the recorder, flutophone,
recorder, flutophone.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'm a little older, and we used to do the flutophone concert with all the Catholic schools at the South High Field House, and we all had to wear a little cape. Your school
That's
color,
awesome.
and the school name was on there, and it was like every Tuesday leading up to the concert, the guy would come. I think it was either Mr. Giancola or Mr. I can't think of his name. And these guys were like renowned music teachers. But they would come to all the different schools, and we played Ave Maria and Twinkle Little Star. So but you took that and you actually went on from there.
South Palmatuning Elementary School. If anybody knows what that is,
I do.
Defunct. Fast Freddie knows what's up. So
I'm down with Palmatuning.
That's right.
You'll love this. I actually had a guy one time dress up in a bread suit, and we threw him in the carp pond.
What?
That is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That is awesome.
That is.
Yeah. No, actual.
That is great.
A bread suit.
Yep. He had a diving suit on, and we taped all kind of bread on.
That sounds like
him
something you would see in like a Jackass.
Yeah,
right.
No, this was even before Jackass.
Yeah.
This was even before video cams practically.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a few pictures, but we had to do it quick because we were broadcasting on the radio, and it's like, okay, the cops are going to be here.
Someone's gonna
call.
Imagine all the things that would get sucked on.
Oh yeah, he did have a strategically placed hot dog bag. I gotta find a picture. There's pictures of it out there.
That's great.
But so everybody knows Palmatuning.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. So then you went on from there. What was the first band you played in, or what was the first time you played in public and you thought? What was the first?
This is the first band I've ever been in.
This is his first one.
Outside of high school,
questions.
I don't.
We just said there's no musicians in the band. We found this guy.
I don't have
He
no
was
idea
playing
what I'm
the
doing.
Flintstones theme song for change down there in front of the bank.
Just took him on.
So,
like that guy out in front of Jacobs Field all the time. That's the only song he plays is the Flintstones theme song.
He's got one.
Yeah. So how about you? Tell us about your amazing music career.
Music skills.
We're gonna have to get to the guy from the Dana School here pretty soon.
Right. So save him for last. Then we look for like a real band.
Exactly.
Always been interested in music. Been playing since I was a kid. Piano, recorder, flutophone. I wanted to play guitar, so picked up a free guitar a buddy of mine was throwing away as a piece of crap thing. Played it till got calluses and hurt and pain
Till
and
my fingers bled.
Exactly.
Till
yes.
My fingers bled.
Right. Just like the song says.
A lyric in a song.
We should probably write that song. That would be great.
Yeah. Played it till my fingers.
Let's write that down. You write that down.
My first real
six string. Yes.
At the 5 and dime.
Oh shit! I think that's been taken.
This is.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You're not a musician. You don't know.
Song's just writing itself.
I'm writing this down right here. You see that? I think that might go.
But play the guitar, and then everybody plays guitar.
Yeah, you forget about that macho shit and learn how to play guitar.
Yeah. But everybody plays guitar, and all the bands that my buddies were in all had guitar players, but nobody had a bass player. So much like most bass players, it's just like the guitar, except for a couple less strings. So
make it a lot easier that way.
Make it easier. Yes, right. And I only need the bottom two, really. That's it. So, picked up the bass and started playing that. Played in a couple of bands over the years, and a handful of them, and that's it. Went to school. I really hadn't played much, and until we started playing again with Rick, I hadn't played for maybe 10 years, much like Sam. So this kind of got me back into music, which I love. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got a guitar when I was a kid. I took saxophone lessons in grade school, and I played in death metal band in Youngstown for like 8 years, and a couple of cover bands and stuff like that. I took a hiatus from music for a while when I was going to school at YSU, and probably somewhere around 2018, it was like shit or get off the pot time. It was time to start playing music again, and just in time for the world to shut down. So so it's you that Yeah, it was.
Yes.
The precipice for the entire world pandemic. Way to go, Ray.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks.
But yeah, I've been kind of involved in one way or another for quite a while. This guy is the one that we want to talk about, though, right?
I guess so. You guys seem pretty interested.
Yeah. I got a story about Johnny Bones. When he gets
Yeah,
done.
we got to hear these boring story about I go to college. I'm smart.
yes, right.
Okay.
I actually started in middle school at Boardman. I started on tuba, and then when 8th grade came around, I was in the jazz band in the 7th grade on tuba, and they were like, "Hey," my band director Tom Ruggieri said, "If you wanted to continue to be in the jazz program in the high school and be in the top level bands, you have to pick a different instrument." So naturally, I moved up to trombone on the brass spectrum, and I fell in love with playing jazz, and that's really how I got into music. I had my first paid gig. It was a private event in 2019. I was 16 years old at the time.
Wow.
And I was leading a band there, and eventually I started to pick up jobs with other bands, and this is the first band that I've really like settled into in that sense.
That was super boring.
I know.
That was terrible. let me tell you, Johnny Bones.
Okay.
So last month we're playing at West Side Bowl, and we're sitting out in the crowd, and this kid shows up with a near mullet, and he's like, "Dude, I just picked up this trombone at the Five and Dime. Do you want me to play with you guys?" I'm like, "What? You mean a song?" He's like, "No, the whole set." I'm like, "How about we just do one song?" And we were doing a cover of Lizzo's "Truth Hurts." My good friend Lizzo lets us do that song, for free.
Right.
She doesn't charge us, and we do it a lot better than she does, anyway.
Right. And for her to let you guys do that and show her up like that, that's really big of her. It
is.
Really,
Yeah. She's such a sweetheart. Yeah.
So Johnny Bones whips out this trombone that he just picked up that day, and just peels out this magnificent trombone solo in the middle of the song, and it was fantastic. And ever since then, we're like, "You're in the band. You gotta do it."
We need some Johnny Bones.
Yeah, we need some Johnny Bones.
Yes.
And then he's been drinking
trombone.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. I get it now. Holy shit.
His last name isn't actually
Bones.
You guys, boy, I learn something every day, man.
You gotta keep up, man.
Boy, I'm razor sharp.
Cutting
See, I
edge
pick
stuff
up on that
over here.
stuff.
Yeah,
How quick did I pick up on that?
You're on it, man.
Not that quick.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I went to Wilson High School. You got to give me some kind of credit. At least I figured it out. It wasn't on the way home going,
Wait
oh,
a second.
the guy that plays the trombone.
So this is our first battle of the bands. What can we expect? Like, I know that we have like a 30-minute set.
I haven't a clue.
Is it hand-to-hand combat? Or
do we have to
we
bring weapons?
Yeah,
Well, Carmen from that other band, I don't even want to arm wrestle him, man.
Yeah.
That guy had some guns.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, this should be interesting. like I say, we've never done one before, and and I'm usually one that never turns anything down. And they say, "Hey, you want to come to the Lube?" I'm usually at the Lube anyways, so I said, "Well, I guess I'll be there."
Yeah,
and and then they said you might win that $800 wagon full of booze.
And you're like, well, let's do it.
Definitely.
I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, here, man. That's what we're talking about." Yeah, count me in on that. Count me in on that. But seriously, Boardman High School does have a great music program, don't they?
Oh yeah, I actually had the opportunity to be in all-state jazz in my senior year of high school, and I was playing lead trombone there. So yeah, it's given me a lot. It's given me a lot of great opportunities.
But you've played with a lot of other bands. I mean,
yeah, I played with Guys Without Ties. So there's the Iron Roots. I think they've disbanded since, but
they're the metal band, the metal version of Rusted Root.
A little heavier, a little harder.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've played just with a myriad of bands around here that just need a trombone player, like the First Class Big Band. I've played everywhere from jazz to ska.
Oh, that's pretty wild. I like a big horn section though. But I tell you, some of them songs where you got, you know, a trumpet and a sax and a trombone, and I mean, you know,
it really
you can't
fills
beat
it out.
Oh
yeah,
you get that Chicago sound, and, you know,
yeah.
that blood, sweat, and tears type sound and everything. I mean, that's really
Chicago's pretty good for a ska band.
Yeah, they really are. You know,
I played Chicago charts though.
Yeah?
Yeah, I played them live.
That's boring.
Yeah, we don't want to hear about you bragging. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah, what was it? The blowjobs from hookers? What were we supposed to get to that? Yeah, we got to cycle back into that.
Oh, look at that! Wow,
Nice.
Okay.
That's a lot lizard from over there by the Iron Skillet.
Well, hey, and you're saying that like it's a bad thing? What? Okay,
I go there on my lunch break.
Is it tonight BOGO night there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were some of the bands that you were playing in around town? Where were?
Oh boy, I played in a band called Neuter, and I don't know if anybody even remembers them. We did like a self-produced tour, and I think we put out an EP. I can't remember; it was so long ago. I played in a metal band from State College called Morbid Sacrifice, and everybody wore the face paint, and I traded in my Telecaster for a snakeskin BC Rich Warlock.
Oh, is that where that guitar came from?
Yeah, that's exactly where that came from. So, yeah, I always played a lot of a lot of metal stuff, and I try to sneak some of that into our music as well. We do some heavy stuff whenever we can.
Which is our first single. It's called Metal Band.
Yeah, Metal Band. I want to be in and I'm stuck in this goddamn ska band.
Yeah,
the guy with the suit coat and the guy with the trombone.
Yeah, right.
Wants to sit around and brag about his musical
skills. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Hey, I tell you, I was the state champion jazz trombone player. Tell you about that. Man, we want to hear about morbid hate. That's what I
We want to know how many groupies he pulled after them guys without tie shows.
Yeah.
None?
Nope.
No?
What? He's got a girlfriend.
Yeah, you got to learn how to exacerbate some of these stories. You're not going to be interesting until you start making shit up.
Yeah, resting on your laurels.
I never promised to be interesting, though. So.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
okay.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah, we'll just put you on the list for next time. We'll have to jot down a few notes there on
right. Yeah, things to
get them out. No, it looks like you guys have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do. That's why we do this. We love it. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, we don't really take anything seriously. Most of our songs are pretty goofy, kind of silly. We try to sneak some stuff in there that's hashtag sneak it in there.
Sneak it in there.
Just try to, keep it lighthearted. There's a lot of serious stuff out there. There's a lot of people that take themselves too seriously, and that's fine, but it gets old after a while. Yeah. So, we're here to kind of make fun of things and shake shit up a little bit.
You guys do that kind of stuff, huh? I never guessed that.
You would never.
You don't come off
part of our
shtick. It's very, well, yeah.
Must be the suit coat.
It must be the suit coat. Yes, right. It's
throwing off some kind of
a vibe. Yes, right. Yeah. You want to buy a used car? I got one.
I was going to say aluminum siding. That shows how old I am. Does aluminum siding even exist anymore?
That's a good question.
That shows you you're old when you remember. With the fact that you remember aluminum siding, I'm giving up my age now.
Yeah.
Guy forgets to put the beer on ice. He's talking about aluminum siding and
slate roofs. Back when they were putting stone up on the roof.
Oh yeah, we all remember that one. Yeah.
I think my favorite suit coat story was we went to see Big D and the Kids Table and Real Big Fish. And there's all these guys like with the punk mohawks and the leather jackets and the spikes and stuff on their shoulders. And the one guy, he smelled terribly because he was bopping around in front of us and he was 4 inches of leather. Turns around and sees Suit Coat Dave. He's like, how do you dance in that?
We were in the mosh pit mixing it up. It was good.
How do you dance in that leather jacket? It's ridiculous. But,
oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Do we have anybody left? Oh, we got one more.
One more?
Holy shit. Okay.
Great.
All right, you guys got to get the hell out. Enough of this bullshit. Okay, out, everybody, out.
I was getting bored anyway.
Hey, guys, great talking to you. Hey, where can everybody find your music and all that stuff. We got to make sure we get that out there.
We're on YouTube.
Okay, you're on YouTube right now.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
We're on
Over there.
Bandcamp.
Yeah.
We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. Is it Apple Music? Yeah, I don't do that.
Check our website, sneakymissiles.com.
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook.
We have exactly one song out right now. But like in another month and a half, we're going to have a 4-song EP released, and shortly after that, we got another album coming.
Sounds good. Hey guys, good luck on Saturday. I just can't wait to see how this whole thing goes. Good to see you, man. All right, we got one more guest here. Holy, we're running a little bit behind here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. I know you want to get out of here.
I'm good, man.
Man, what a big night here tonight. This has been a lot of fun, man. We've been talking to a lot of interesting people. The reason we're here is we have our big Battle of the Bands coming to Quaker Steak and Lube in downtown Sharon. Have a seat, guys. Come on in, man.
Hey, fast, right?
What's up? What's up?
Nice to meet you, man.
Good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you, man.
Long-time listener.
Oh, first-time caller. Anyways, I'm just telling everybody about what we got going on here on Saturday night. We got the big Battle of the Bands to benefit Tales of Hope Spay and Neuter Clinic, Quaker Steak and Lube, downtown Sharon. $10 ticket, and that $10 ticket gets you in for the drawing for a $500 Yeti prize pack right off the bat.
Nice.
We have 130 basket raffles to give away. And we also, my favorite, and I think everybody's going to want to win this, they're giving away what they're calling a wagon of cheer, and a WAGGIN, obviously, for the, the animal thing. But that is going to consist of $800 worth of booze in a wagon. So they got a lotto tree and a 50-50 and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we got going on. Now, you guys are from Valkyrie X, and your names are? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm Jamie. I'm the bass player.
Jamie?
Yep. Bruce.
Okay. Bruce. Okay.
2/5 of the band.
Yeah.
Okay, 2/5 of the band.
Five
You gotta
piece.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the band, man. Where are you guys from? And, give us a whole rundown here on Valkyrie X.
Okay, Portage County, southern Portage County, Atwater, Randolph area.
Right.
Initially, Tim, the other guitar player, it's an evolution. He's been, a lot of the music we do was Tim's former bandmates, former projects he's had. A lot of music's, basically his or creations from other get-togethers through the years. So, but since then, we added the female aspect with Cassie on vocals, and I've been with them about 4 years. Let's see, it would be Tim. Not that seniority matters, but
yeah,
Tim, myself, Cass, Jamie, Mike, and like any band that kind of evolves, staff changes, people get, either tired or just things. So there's been always, every band has changes. So, and we've still survived, and I believe the product is good. I feel it has a wide appeal.
So describe your sound a little bit. What's the band like?
Yeah. I was talking to somebody else about this, and we're not pigeonholed into one genre.
I agree.
And, that's one good thing about us, because we all have different backgrounds and different genres that we bring to the band. We're definitely hard rock with a touch of metal.
Yeah.
We're heavier.
Yeah.
Definitely. We got a couple songs that would, you could say are metal. For the most part, man, we're rock.
Yeah.
But we're open enough to where we can go into other styles if we, chose to. So
Yeah.
we're a heavy band.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
And like any
Check it
team,
out.
Well, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there.
any team everyone brings something to the table, be it minimal or a lot.
Yeah.
So, there's time changes in some of our songs. There's some breakdowns. I feel our songs are longer than maybe what most people are used to. It's not the 4 minute,
Right.
average song.
Yeah.
Some of them are 7 minutes long. And so when we get told we got to play within this 20-minute time frame, we pick and choose what we like.
Yeah, we might only have one song. Is that okay?
Right.
So yeah, you got to revolve some of what you pick around on what you're limited to. Which that's kind of a change. A lot of venues now are doing the multiple bands on one night where you have to. It's almost like Nashville at the Ryman.
Yeah,
You're getting 30 minutes. You're getting 30 minutes.
You go to
That's
Nashville.
what most venues are offering. Opening acts.
Yeah.
You go down there, that's all the only way it works.
Right.
You smash. Heck, they start playing at like noon or something, and
Yeah.
and
I actually like the old days better when it was 3 bands.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
headliner and
Yeah.
the 2 openers. Nowadays,
Yeah.
man, they cram 5 bands in there, and you're hustling.
And honestly, it does make it more of an inconvenience because you don't get near the cut. Not complaining, but the industry is changing.
Oh yeah,
and the byproduct is basically, it's a labor of love more than it is the labor of trying to grow, not only monetarily but popularity wise. So things are different than it used to be. And
yeah, we've been talking now with all the bands. So what else do you find like are some of the hardships or things that you faced, for bands, and especially maybe even a little heavier band or original bands? What seems to be the scene for you guys, or what's going on
club
there?
ownerships all have different policies. That's a hardship, and I don't think they figured out a good protocol, especially whenever you're faced with bands are hard enough to keep together internally and then get them all to be agreed to for a certain night. And then some things come up, life happens, people have to back out.
Right.
It's a scramble trying to keep people in a rotation or a fold to keep the bar open and people coming in.
I don't look so much at a hardship. I mean, I know what I'm getting into going into it,
Yeah.
I mean, no grandiose ideas that you're going to get signed to a major label all right off the rip. And,
everyone believes
it's going to pay the bills, you know. But if that were to happen, that'd be awesome. I think for me in the past year, and especially having some time during COVID, is just reaching out and trying to learn how to maneuver getting your product out there to more
that's
people.
true.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be tricky. It's not like it was back in the day,
Yeah.
Now the competition's out there. The scene is saturated.
Yeah.
And it's learning how to maneuver and get your product out there to everybody across.
It was hard enough to get people to come to local music, and now with the dynamic going on with the Rona and everything else, it's like even harder to get people to come out of the house.
Yeah.
So then you really do rely online.
Because shows we're getting good shows. I mean, we're headlining the Vortex next week. We got you guys Saturday.
Yeah.
The West Side Bull's doing a fabulous job.
Yeah,
Nate's doing a great job over there.
Oh yeah, you guys playing there?
Yeah. Yeah, Nate's really cool, dude.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to them because they really are embracing local original music, and we need more places like that.
The facility itself is very cool.
Yeah.
They're great over there.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Yeah, I got a kick out of that place, and the owners way chill.
Or else
He's a good dude.
Buzzbin.
Yeah, Buzzbin's cool.
We're mostly playing.
I don't have a
Akron
gripe with
area.
any of them. I mean, honestly,
it
boils down to just that it takes time, and then if you have somebody trying to get your music out there, Dodie, kind of like she helps manage us. It takes a lot of time to research the avenues because not everybody's forthcoming with how you do it. You got to figure a lot of it out on your own
as you go along.
Yeah.
It's hard, and it's hard to find out exactly what the labels are looking for. And how, because I'm looking at one now, and things are still slow. They're waiting for things to open up more. With COVID.
Right.
But we just went through an experience with a smaller label, so we got to learn an experience there.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a wider audience to attack than just off of Facebook.
Yeah.
Or off of how many hits you get on Spotify or Apple.
Right.
And that's kind of what me and Tim were talking about in the last practice.
Yeah.
How do we get it out there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's and especially now with fewer clubs available, and it's not this has been like an ongoing topic. All night is how the music business has changed. I mean, we go back to the day when there was bands 7 nights a week. That even here in Youngstown, there was at one point in time you could find bands on Tuesday nights, Monday night, 3 different bands playing out, and it's like you don't see that anywhere anymore.
Certain cities have that, but that's also their hook.
Yeah,
You can go to St. Pete, huge music scene there. Tampa, St. Pete. Nashville obviously is busy every night.
Right.
I lived in Columbus for 5 years. I had a fantastic music scene. There was somewhere to go. It's probably changed a little now, but I think if you have the population and the youthful aspect being a college town going for you, then those towns will generate that. But
a big college town.
Yeah, a big one.
We got a lot of people on the verge of flunking out, and they're going to go see the band.
Well, we're definitely not. We definitely don't have
school.
We don't have a lack of bands. I mean, Akron's got a strong.
Yeah,
scene. Youngstown scene is growing.
Yeah,
Cleveland scene's always been strong. If anything, theirs is weaker than it has been. At least the metal scene is. You know.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's just everybody fighting for that position, man. You know.
I know. You know, and like you say, sure, it's out there, and that's one thing people say, well, you don't really need record labels anymore, or this or that, or you could promote it yourself. But you know what? I've always thought, and some people hate the record industry and this and that, but they had a way of getting that product out and promoting that product. They really did. They were master promoters, and they knew how. I mean, it was a crapshoot. I know a lot of bands too where they didn't do shit for them, and they thought they were on their way, and and then oh well, you know what? We're changing, or they change management. They get a whole new crew in, or a different style comes out. Oh, well, you're a little too hair bandy now, so we're going with these bands. And, there's a lot going on to it. But in the big scheme of things, the record companies really did know how to promote people and come up with gimmicks and get the product in front of people. And that's what they really, really specialized in.
And that has
great
changed
marketing.
dramatically.
They were great at marketing.
Yeah. And you almost need somebody that's a really good marketer. But I even think, though, sometimes with everything, it seems like we're sometimes just so saturated now with messages constantly. It's like we're bombarded with stuff morning, noon, and night. So I think you got the question there is, how do you cut through that clutter and get above that?
I think it boils down to having a product that has wide appeal. And I think that's where something we offer, because of I probably will get, bitched at for this, but I kind of feel we have a progressive side to us because of some of the time changes, because of some of the different points in which we change up the sound a little bit. And I love that because I'm a huge Rush fan. Joe Walsh is my dude, but I'm a huge Rush fan. And anyone asks me what's your influences, those two, is if there's anything else, those two are my guys. The three in Rush, Joe Walsh, big influences for me. But how you add that into a metal band is just by being in the pocket and doing your part as best you can. And I think that's where we all are. I think that's where we all bring something to the table. Everyone does their part really well, I think. But having a wide appeal is important. And I think getting over that hump of marketability, you just have to have something people like.
Instant hook.
People,
people's attention span is so short anymore. They're just clicking through it.
Now
you need an instant hook.
It's almost like 5, 10, 15,
people
20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Everyone has acquired ADD,
and
no one can stand.
When you look at like
long
YouTube,
enough to have the attention span to give something its credit.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at YouTube now. I mean, they try to get those ads even. For you to skip an ad, they got to try to get their message out in like 3-4 seconds, like that. They got to get their whole message out, before you hit skip this ad.
That's right.
I'm looking for the skip this ad the minute it starts.
That's me.
But then these guys are coming up with like, how do we get it across in 4 seconds? How do we get it across in 5 seconds?
Everything's a time crunch now.
I know.
Everything is.
It's crazy. People are just. It's just like that. Well, let's talk a little bit more about your musical influences. Now, you say Rush and Joe Walsh. Let's expand on that a little bit. What do you like about Rush? What do you like about Joe Walsh?
I guess because my older brother played Joe Walsh growing up, and mom was outlaw country. Brother was Joe Walsh and Pink Floyd. So of course that hooks your curiosity, and then you develop your own interests. I think Rush had the guitar riffs I was looking for to keep me interested in it.
Yeah.
And that's really what, and like Joe, I always maintain, going back to Joe had variables in the way he wrote. Okay. And I always said that the Eagles joined Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh didn't join.
Yeah, that's a good
Eagles.
way to put that. Yeah.
And so, because I guess I've been in the rabbit hole so deep with him on his music and trying to learn what he plays.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel he was always an impact on me.
Yeah.
The same with Alex Bison and Getty and Neil. They're all. I mean, my favorite thing to do at a concert is watch the drummer. I could care less about what the guitar player's doing. I watch the drummer.
Right.
That's weird, but and I appreciate all of them, all the talent that's going on. But so I think influences. some guy out of Australia did it was called what was that dude's name? The dude that does like the
Dingeroo?
He did this, review of us.
Oh.
And he somehow threw the word country in there. And when I read that, I was
that
like,
was out of Canada.
Yeah, or something like that.
That was out of Canada.
But I read this review of us, and I'm like, I'll take credit for the country
part.
Right. Because I'm
that was a spin.
Yeah. So that's why I like what we play, is because there is a lot
that
of
actually
variable.
somebody can pick that up in there and go,
I was
yeah.
honestly
I don't know
humbled and
where,
thrilled
I'm not
by
sure where
that
you heard
comment.
that. Progressive, yes, but
Yeah, with a country twinge.
Yeah. So, but
then again, you know what? As rock as country sounds today, that,
I laughed though at the review. I was actually digging it. He was. I liked it. It was funny. It made me laugh. He wasn't wrong,
Yeah.
on some levels. So
maybe that might be a good spoof to do online. Do reviews of people and just make it so far-fetched and so far off the point that it's nothing like the band.
There's another idea for you to take your time.
Just so the guys
just to
in
make
the
them
band
think, wonder how did they come up with that, right?
Yeah.
And just to see the guys in the band reading this and going, wait a minute. What?
The thing is, though, that might hook one person. That might get them to bring them in to check it out and be like, okay, I might dig that.
Wow, yeah, I've been looking for a band like this.
Yeah.
These are
it's
my
a hot
dudes.
mess. I'm in.
These are my dudes right here. It sounds like Cyndi Lauper with a touch of Johnny Cash thrown in.
But as far as the band goes, Tim has a lot of Pantera roots.
Uh-huh.
He was the quintessential headbanger in the 90s, and he lives it. I think it shows up in our music. Cass Wales, she's great talent, and
she's got a beautiful voice.
Mike, our drummer, is a technical guy, and he likes big fills. He's got some history playing in a drum line, on tour with that, and so he's he's
got some structured training behind him. He's definitely a good drummer.
So
that's cool.
But I think all of our influences come down to some form of heavy ass rock.
Yeah.
That that's why we identify what we're playing. And if you were to hear the songs as they are now, they're not what Tim would have played 10 years ago. They're different.
Right.
And it's better. It's refined. And I think that, and we've all, like I said, we've all added nuances to it. That's why.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
that's cool. That's
yeah.
cool.
And, everyone has their ups and downs, but overall, I think when we all get together and it comes together, it's good.
Yeah. So what was the first song you learned how to play?
With these guys?
Or no, just
I heard it through the grapevine with my thumb on a guitar. I was like 12. I should have been a bass player. I probably would have, but I mean, I started messing with melodies, and of course, then AC/DC is like 3 chords across 20 songs, so you can learn major chords, play some AC/DC songs, and it just grew from there.
And then you're like, you're actually playing something. You feel like you're doing something.
Right.
And it's worth pursuing.
You go to your friend's party, you're playing, you shook me all night long, and they're all impressed, and you're like, they have no idea how easy this was to learn. But big love for them because they've started so many people.
Oh yeah, and same. You could take that back to Kiss, another one.
Absolutely, Tim's a big Kiss fan, and you can hear some of that in our music. I believe there's an influence of Kiss in there. I mean, you can hear it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's vital to have people call them simpleton bands. Man, they got so many people started.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially because it's so easy that for you to be able to make some noise and make people happy, and you're really doing something, so that makes you want to pursue it even farther too. All of a sudden you come out.
Well, that's why on a local level, cover bands do so well,
right?
It's because people can relate to it.
Yeah,
and cover bands do real well now.
You'll be booked every weekend.
Sure.
If you want that for a lifestyle. I frankly like the happy medium of having something original, doing something that you like to do. I mean, if I didn't like what we were playing, I wouldn't be here.
With like 2 covers in it, something like that.
And I think there's something to be said for just, I forget who the band was years ago. I heard them. They're like, well, we do this for us. It's not about you or how popular we're going to get. We're not doing this for the money. Incidentally, they got very popular. But I mean, I would love the idea. Anyone would love the idea to be able to pay their bills with a music career,
right?
But that's not an easy life. That's not an easy life.
No,
You know,
it's really not what people.
You're basically working second shift, along with, you know, depending on what your personal habits are. You know, you're working second shift at midnights, and you might get some sleep. You know, and then it's hard. You know, it can be hard on your home life or something. I mean, I think right now marketing things through online stuff sets the tone on how you get viewed. You know, how you get picked up.
It does. Yeah. So, what was the first concert you went to?
I went to a Rush Presto tour, and I think I was like, I take that back. Somehow I ended up at the Monsters of Rock at the Rubber Bowl with some friend, my buddy's
that was
older
a classic
brothers.
show.
Yeah, I just remember.
Oh, with Guns N' Roses?
No, it was
No,
Van
Metallica?
Halen, Scorpions.
Metallica?
But
Kingdom Come.
I got.
Yeah,
I was
right.
pretty. I
Yeah,
think
they
I was
were on
like
there
13.
too.
I was.
Yeah.
I went with my buddy's older
It's like
brother.
102 that day.
Yeah.
It was hot as hell.
Yeah.
Just started with them. Okay, and I remember I was close enough to see the going upstairs, and I saw Eddie turn around and like poke at Sammy, and he barked at him, and then he ran up on stage like everything was great, and I'm like, oh, so it's just like home, you know. So yeah, but they went up and rocked it out, and then I remember they were spraying fire hose.
Yeah,
everyone, it was hotter than hell, and
yeah,
I wasn't supposed to be there, and there was some time constraints, so I was there for a few of the acts, and and then I went and saw Rush Presto. I was already a Rush fan by then, so I think Primus. I want to say it was Primus. I could be wrong. I can't remember.
I'm trying to think. I went to that one too, but I can't remember.
But that was at the Coliseum, and I've seen Ozzy a handful of times in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of missed Coliseum. There's a lot of memories.
I like the Coliseum too.
Yeah.
That place was, and you know what? It was so nice, just the way the seats were. You had wide seats and seating angles, and the way that building was designed, not like these new places that you could actually walk around and you know, peek your head in somewhere, or actually walk around. You know, that middle between the two bowls,
that second level.
Yeah,
they had that.
And you can see the band a little bit. Maybe you can peek in here real quick and get a closer view. Now it's like, if you don't have a ticket for this, you're not getting anywhere near it. You know,
I remember everything I ever saw at the Coliseum. This is way before the smoking ban. Every one of them was done. Like if they fired lasers off, it just the smoke in the place was so dense.
Yeah,
you know,
Iron Maiden was terrific there. I was one of the best shows.
Yeah, those couple of guys we're talking about.
Great show.
Yeah. Who did I see there? I saw Sabbath.
Wow, that'd have been cool.
Yeah. Sabbath. Pink Floyd.
Was there
never seen Floyd?
A time Zeppelin.
That was a good one. Yeah, Zeppelin was there, but I never had a chance.
Zeppelin
to see
didn't play Cleveland, did they?
Oh yeah,
I thought they did.
I thought they only did once.
Yeah, no, they played a couple times, and I think they were booked when John Bonham died. I think they might have been booked there too. Now they played Cleveland a lot because they used to stay over at that Swingos in downtown, which was the rock and roll back in the 70s. That was like the decadent rock and roll rock star hotel.
Swingos.
Yeah, where all the crazy shit happened.
Believe it or not, Pink Floyd played in Akron Civic Theater.
Yeah.
I've got a poster that says "Brought to you by a friend," and it was like a promo poster. Somehow, a buddy of mine gave it to me when they did some repops of it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy thing that some of the big names that played in some of these little places, you know.
Well, that's like here in downtown Youngstown, we used to have the Tomorrow Club, and then it turned into the Youngstown Agora. But everybody played there at one time. I mean, Joe Walsh was the first band to play there, but Kiss played there, Alice Cooper, Bob Seger, the Ramones. The Ramones' first gig outside of New York City, outside the CBGB, was right down here.
No kidding.
And that's how they met Stiv Bators.
Stiv Bader from the Dead Boys.
And Stiv Bators was a fan of the Ramones, and the Ramones were leaving town on 680, and Stiv pulls up next to him in a car, and he climbs out of the car and stands on the roof of the car naked as they're going down 680, like waving at the Ramones. And the Ramones pulled over, and then the Ramones went back to the CBGB and told everybody what a great time they had at this club in Youngstown. And then next thing you know, Blondie, Television, the Police, the Talking Heads, says, "Oh, we want to give it a shot." And then they all came down here. And it used to be
mean,
right down the street here.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Being Joey
Yeah.
Ramone
AC
on the way home or something and seeing some naked dude in
Yeah.
the car.
Right on.
Yeah, and then of course Steve and the Ramones became good friends, and Dead Boys start playing at the CBGB.
Yep.
One of the best ones that I saw down there was AC/DC opened for this guy Mink DeVille from Jersey. He was kind of like semi-punk rocker, kind of thing, and that was the first time I ever seen any act down there get a hard time, because usually the crowd down there, I mean, it was everybody would play there. Roy Buchanan and those kind of guys would play there, and even John Lee Hooker, everybody. But everybody here at that time was just so into whatever they were playing down there. People would show up and pack the house because everybody just loved it because it was rock and roll.
Wow, that's great stories, man.
And so this Mink DeVille's the headliner, and AC/DC with Bon Scott opened for them.
Sure.
Right down the street here. And, they pulled up in a van, and I'll tell you what, they just blew that place away. They played like 5-6 songs, and it was just like, and this Mink DeVille was having a hard time playing the rest of the night because, everybody was just chanting AC.
Sure, they wanted him to come back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like I say, any other night that guy played there, people would have loved him. It would have been
tough
like,
act to follow thing.
But it was just like, I'm sure that AC/DC didn't open for him much longer after that, because they just blew the place away. Journey played there, right before they hit it big, and it was really a great club, and just to see these bands. Like it just seemed like
the scene before they,
and it was just, I don't know how they booked them there, but it seemed like they would play here, and within a year they were the biggest band out there. Priest played there, and Alice Cooper.
Every town's got its like rock and roll history and lore, man, and I couldn't read enough of that stuff.
Yeah,
if there was a chronicle on it, man, I'd love that.
I am just a huge fan of that, well, here's another one of my favorite stories. When you talk about Joe Walsh, one time Joe opened for Zeppelin at the Coliseum, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
The James Gang opened for Joe, or Joe Walsh, and the James Gang opened for Zeppelin. And after the show, he brought Robert Plant and Jimmy Page down to JB's in Kent to jam after the show.
Sure.
Wow.
And then word got out that they were there, and I guess there's just a whole mob
Mad
scene
rush.
on Water Street. And the guy that owned the club, he was this old hunky guy, Joe Bujak. He didn't know who Jimmy Page and Robert Plant were from Adam. And he just saw this huge crowd there, and he was like begging these guys to play there every Tuesday night. He was trying to get these guys to play there every Tuesday night. And he's trying to him like, hey, I'll give you free beer all night too. What do you guys want? $200 and free beer. I'll give you all the beer. But he was serious. He thought he was making a serious pitch. And a lot of people saw that go down. And I just love stories like that. And that's just part of the rock history. But Coliseum, Pink Floyd.
Sometimes crossing paths, like we do this, we cross paths with people, and I try to be cool with all of them, because you never know who might pop and make it big. And I'd be like, I remember I met him at blah blah blah. So I always kind of hope I hope that for somebody. I hope it for us, but I hope for other people.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that one tune will catch somebody's eye and make them go somewhere.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your rock history here. When did you start playing, and what
you're
got
talking
you into
about
it?
the early scene out here in Youngstown. That's interesting. I love those stories. I was fortunate enough to be from Cleveland when the metal scene was really strong. And Cleveland had just a phenomenal metal scene throughout the 80s and early 90s. So I was able to see a lot of those metal acts come through there before they really got signed, early Anthrax. And I was young. My first big concert I remember going to was Kill 'Em All tour with Metallica, with Cliff Burton and everybody.
Oh, that was a good one to start.
And then it just blew up from there.
Yeah.
And then seeing Lemmy Kilmister, from like Me to You at the
okay.
Engineers Building. That was the Engineers show when Motorhead had busted the decibel record. They beat the Who out. Because we remember seeing a plaster fall out of the ceiling on that, and they pulled the plug on that show. And then it was, remember the old Engineers Building?
Yeah.
That was a great show.
And Lemmy was rattling the plaster.
Oh man, he was knocking the place down. I mean, there was plaster literally falling from the ceiling.
Now that had to be a rock and roll event, right?
So that was great.
That's a memorable one right there, man.
You know, and then they're playing, and we're crushed up against the stage. We're kids. We're crushed up against the stage watching Motorhead. It's the greatest thing there is, you know. And we're dying of thirst, and they kick over. They were drinking St. Pauli's Grill that night, and they kicked over a 6-pack of St. Pauli's Grill, so we got to get a beer out of his.
Oh, how cool is
Yeah,
that,
it was
man?
great, man. You know.
Yeah.
So a lot of great metal memories, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to that, growing up, I always had Southern rock and classic rock in the house.
Yeah.
You know, my parents would go camping and take me to country shows down at Ponderosa Park.
Oh,
and stuff
Ponderosa
like
Park.
that.
What a place, huh?
Charlie Daniels Band and all those guys.
Waylon Jennings and
Waylon
I saw
Jennings,
Willie
Willie
a couple
Nelson.
times down there.
I love all that. I still love that stuff. I
Yeah,
mean,
me too.
I'll listen to a lot of outlaw country and Southern rock.
Yeah.
And then I play metal, you know, so it's, but I still try to keep up.
Oh,
on
Cowboys
what's
from
going
Hell.
on in
You'd be
metal.
like Cowboys from Hell, man.
I love
Look up with
Pantera.
David Allen Coe.
I never knew David Allen Coe did a song with Pantera.
Yeah.
Until maybe about 6 months ago, I read that article.
Oh, yeah.
And Dimebag made that Confederate flag guitar for him.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that, man. That was pretty cool. That was a little cool read.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate, man. I grew up in a town where there was a lot of talented musicians. A lot of the guys went on to, you know, do some tours and some mid-level success. And, you know, I'd follow their lead, playing a couple metal bands, couple punk bands, you know, here and there.
Yep.
And then as time goes along, life hits you. You got to work and make a living. And
Tell me, man, when I was off for a year and a half, you know, when I lost my other job, and I was off for a year and a half, and it was great. It was freaking awesome, man. I mean, now that I'm back on, now that I'm on Y103, you know, it was kind of hard for me to go back, really, you know. Or you say, oh, I bet you're happy you're on the radio. Well, I am, but it was like I had so much fun last year, even with the COVID. You know, I rode my motorcycle more than I ever rode it. I caught more fish than I ever caught in my life. Big fish. You know, I caught, you know, I know a lot of charter captains out on Erie. So I was out on Erie catching walleye all the time.
Yeah, there's some silver linings to some of that.
And, you know, bass fishing. You know, I caught my biggest bass this past summer. I caught a 6-pounder. And, you know, it was just, you know, I was crappie fishing every night, and, you know, just it was great. And then then life hit me, you know, like that. And it's like, oh, I don't have any money. You know, I guess I got to do something here. You know, well, I can eat the fish that I catch. You know, but yeah, I tell you, you know, yeah, life has a way of catching up with you like that. But yeah, I was living large. I thought it was the greatest thing. You know, people are bitching about people being deadbeats and this and that. I was like, hey, don't knock it until you try it, man. You know, it ain't as bad as you think it is. But of course, there was no radio jobs or anything out there, anyways, to do. And you know, with the COVID, you know,
now everything's automated. You know,
yeah. Yeah.
One guy runs 4 shifts or 3 shifts on a radio show, just hits the button, you know, but
yeah, fortunately our company, we were live and local, and that's one of the things that made it appealing to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, my family's telling me, you better go get a job. You know,
I think doing what you do would be fun.
We got to pay the rent here. Oh, I want to go fishing.
You know, what stinks is out in the pocket where I'm at, like we say we hail from Atwater, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's just Akron, Kent, you know, Canton is our pocket more.
Tim's from Atwater.
Tim's from Atwater. I'm a Randolph.
We rehearsed that.
But yeah, we rehearsed at Tim's house. Well, you know, that whole pocket, we end up, all of us have a lot of the same musical interests. That's why we end up together. You know? But what's weird is how even the territorial end of it, I feel, you know, Cass's part where she grew up, you know, and Mike's, yours, everyone's local history kind of steers them down a certain road.
Right.
And I think that helps with some of the creativity of what goes into the group. You know, I think some of the life that hit them, that the struggles we go through makes it.
Yeah.
Makes it what comes out of us is what kind of makes some of the music, you know.
Oh,
some
exactly.
more trials.
Absolutely.
It's really cool the way that happens too. It's like, we have a difference with one another or whatever's going on. It's once the music starts, it gels.
It's on.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yes.
The way that happens.
It is.
It's like all the other shit just goes off to the side, and we're all focused on that one goal.
Yeah.
Creating good music, and it works.
Yeah, we had talked about that earlier too. I'm such a fan of the creative process, whether it's writing or even writing comedy bits or parody songs or whatever it is. I'm a big fan of that stuff where, I like to hear these outtakes. Like the Beatles are big on that. And you hear how a song progresses from, how it starts out even with just them guys strumming on a guitar and as it goes through different stages, and then it comes out like the version that you hear, and you're like, wow, how did that get from there to there?
Right.
Because they're sitting there saying, well, we got to slow the tempo down, or you know what, we got to add this in there. Oh, that got to be higher, that got to be lower. Wait a minute, why don't you play the solo this way? And then it, you know what, let's do the drums a little different, or, hey, let's throw that in there, or maybe sing it this way instead. And then, you hear the rough thing, and then you hear the finished product, and you're just sitting there and you go, wow, the steps that it took to get to that. And I always think that creative process is so amazing. And I'm sure that's what you guys get out of it, the satisfaction that, when it's done and you sit there and go, damn, does that sound good? Or, yeah, we nailed that,
Yeah.
And when you get that done, it's just like, that is so cool.
Even sometimes somebody will hear something that just isn't right, and we kind of talk about making a change a certain way, and it makes a better impact.
Yeah.
You got to really keep your mind open to be able to want to change a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's crucial.
Yeah.
So, I'm not positive, and I wouldn't speak for the other bandmates, but I can tell you there's been a handful of times, a suggestion came across the floor and it was better. Sometimes we're on our worst enemy thinking we've got this, it has to stay this way. You really got to kind of be able to move a little bit.
Yeah,
on it,
you do.
know?
That's the key to keeping a band together, a little bit of give and take here and there. All right. Hey, listen, guys, I've only been here for 3 hours on this marathon.
Thanks a lot.
I hope we covered enough to promote ourselves. But we both get to talking, and this is what happened.
Yeah, too bad everyone couldn't have been here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good experience, man.
Well,
You'll get to meet everybody Saturday.
Valkyrie X is the name of the band, and they are also going to be a part of our big battle of the bands. It's coming up this Saturday at Quaker Steak and Lube in downtown Sharon. I think this thing is going to be a blast. We've never done one before. This is the first time, and I think it's going to be great. It's been a pleasure talking to all the bands. Everybody's got a different personality, a different sound.
These were a big deal back in the day, too. Battle of the Bands were like, everybody went to those.
Oh, yeah.
They were fun.
Oh, yeah. And this is really going to be interesting.
This is cool.
And don't forget about all the stuff we got to give away, too. We have that 120 baskets we're giving away. Well, raffling off. We're not going to just give them away. And somebody, hey, you said you're giving away. Where's my basket, asshole?
Right.
No. And, the booze wagon, the wagon of cheer with $800 full of whiskey packed into that thing. I mean, that's going to be, somebody's going to win a great prize on that. We got a lotto tree, a 50-50, and then we're going to have a lot of great music from a lot of original bands, and that's going to be all part of the fun.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
And so where can we find Valkyrie X? You guys got a website, Facebook page, the whole nine yards, I would imagine.
Facebook page.
We had to take you into everything else.
Yeah, we had some stuff that was streaming, and then there was a glitch that happened, something with one of the services, so we're working on getting that back online. We got 2 recorded tunes that we got a little flash drive. Whenever we sell our merch, we got on a flash drive and you can buy that, and we got
that's very cool.
Merch and stuff like that. We have, I think Doty has a merch.
Yeah, we should have a merch
set up. So I mean,
awesome. Well, it's going to be a great time, man. I can't wait to see how this goes.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
all right, cool. Man. Jamie, Bruce, good to see you guys.
Likewise.
The band is Valkyrie X, and make sure you come on down and be a part of the big battle of the bands Saturday night. Quaker Steak and Lube, beautiful downtown Sharon. The place is going to be rocking. Come on out and support local music. Come on out and support original music. And also you'll be helping Tales of Hope, Spay and Neuter Clinic as well. So it's going to be a win-win-win, and you might win that wagon full of booze to top it all off. That's what I told some of them other guys, man. What if you guys win the Battle of the Bands and you win the
you get $1,000, plus $800 in booze and whatever else.
And let's remind people, it is a fundraiser. Don't come broke.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. Yes, please. Yeah. All right. Listen, guys. Thank you, everybody.
All right, buddy.
Hey, good to see you guys. I
time.
want to thank you for
Thank
stopping
you.
down, and I can't wait for Saturday night. We're
Yeah,
gonna have
us
some
too.
fun.
Looking forward to seeing
We're
you,
going
man.
to have some fun.
Yeah.
And,
we will.
and if I win the $800 wagon full of booze, I'm going to crack a couple bottles open. So,
Right on.
You know, we're going to share it with everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, listen, everybody, we're going to wrap it up. Hopefully I will see you. Yeah, I will see you next week. We do have a show scheduled for next week. So we got more coming up on that. I think we got another benefit to talk about next week. And all I can say is come on down and join us Saturday night, Quaker Steak and Lube, downtown Sharon, Battle of the Bands, and we'll see you there. And thanks to Lucas, my producer here, taking care of everything. And for those of you that were bitching that the beer was warm, we still had some cold ones here. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. If you like our programming, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform like iTunes or Spotify. This is original Youngstown content, and we would appreciate you sharing the videos and the word about us.